In that case, hey guys, Tarke Cat here, and before we get into this discussion all about builds and maybe a little bit of the Atlas skill tree, happy birthday to Raiz's mum. Raiz, what sort of builds are you thinking about? What's your plans for Friday?
Oh, great. I'm opening as I'm still out of breath. Listen, there's a couple options for me because I really want to participate in the event. And they've given us quite a lot of goals as to like what you can do for the event. You've got different bosses, but not necessarily the new ones. And the rewards are designing a unique, which doesn't put bread on the table, but it's still cool as heck. So I would like to go for something really iconic like Shaper. And for that, the builds that I've been thinking of so far, Fire Trap, which the numbers aren't quite there, I think, for an event such as this one. And one of the big downsides would be the fact that it's a Marauder. So that's pretty rough and slow to level. But I do think that it's got potentially what it takes if you're focusing really heavily on not necessarily like farming, just like getting there as quickly as possible. It is tanky enough, even if it is a little bit slower. And then the other one would be Poisonous Concoction Pathfinder. I love the utility. It's got nice defense, really fitting skill tree. But yet it's another issue of kind of having a little bit of a ZDPS situation. And I also don't necessarily like the idea of being super dependent on the Plague Bearer. So it's kind of where I'm at right now. But I think all of that is probably going to get smoked by the nerfed Seismic Trap, unless they do something more than what they've told us so far, which is just reduce the AoE scaling, which isn't that significant. From the people that I've talked to that have like tested it pretty extensively, it's about 20% less damage if you just have no AoE. And that's how much about I felt when I played Fire Exsanguinate Chieftain that it also used Seismic Trap. It wasn't that big of a deal. So yeah, I said all the things.
Exsanguinate also nerfed a bit?
See, I thought that it was heavily nerfed, but then the math checks out to be about 7.5% less damage, which is pretty insignificant.
I think the thing which is lame about that, though, is they didn't do anything to compensate for the dot aspect. So, like, dot Exsanguinate is dead, but hit-based is, like, the same, which is, that I think is pretty lame.
Yep, pretty much.
So the dot is worse. That matters. That makes it really smooth. It actually makes it very smooth in terms of clearing. Because like if it doesn't like exactly like it, then it dies to the dot. And actually killing things with the dot gives you all the nice bonuses.
Life gain on
so, I mean,
it's not and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's not insignificant not having a stronger dot.
Seismic is strong enough though that like even if Exsanguinate traps wasn't something too great anymore, I'm sure you could find some other means of clearing, be that rotating through other cooldown traps and scaling a lot of CDR, or going for like Ellie conversion and doing explosive trap or something. Like there's other spammable traps that you could use.
I mean, you literally played the cooldown trap to 100 last league, so.
Yes, that one is a lot less. That isn't very race viable. That's more of like a race, but a longer term solo self-found play, or for like hardcore trade or softcore trade or something. That is it's a generically decent build, but not a race build. That's for sure.
But speaking of Niggy, are you planning on doing any racing come Friday? If so, what sort of builds are sort of?
I am probably. Because I'm like, I don't see why not. I mean, just throw it in there and go. And then we'll see where it takes us. I think it's going to be fun. Build-wise, I'm lost. I don't know. I mean, if it's not something we've done before, from like the traps, the helix, the concoctions, then I don't really know where I stand.
That's kind of a big issue for you, I feel like, Nugi, because I've been thinking about this, and you've been kind of really, you've been making some really nice builds that really have put a dent on the meta, I'd say. You were like one of the first people to popularize Helix, people recognize that it was strong, but I'd say that you really came in guns blazing when it came to that.
Yeah.
Like Archmage Stormbrand.
Yeah.
All of these sort of builds, like you were really on point with that. Even there was that one like
Stormbrand, Lightning Strike, Helix, and Poison Concoction. I went pretty ham before it started becoming meta.
Yeah. Oh. So you probably got the bigger problem than all of us, because you've kind of like played all the things that have already been kind of established.
I mean, that's all the builds that are being played right now, that are like on the table right now. So yeah, I'm looking at like spell builds right now. Honestly, I think Bow Instruments of Virtue is really interesting. I saw Havoc experimenting with like Blink Arrow, and so I don't think Blink Arrow shares cooldown with the other movement skill. Am I right?
Nope, doesn't.
So that's kind of nice, actually. And I think with how easy it is to roll very high, what's it called? Flat rolls on bows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could see it. The thing, like, I was thinking, Battle Mage. I was thinking like maybe Spark, and then you get broad speed on quiver and bow, and you get a high flat lightning roll, because it's a high flat lightning roll. So I've been thinking about that. I think that could be pretty cool.
I do think, like, generally speaking, though, and obviously, you know, as streamers and as people who play the game for like 8, 10, 12 hours a day, however long, you're going to want to go for something new a lot of the time, both to keep your audience interested and to keep yourself interested. But I think generally this is a really good league to just go back to something that you're comfortable with and do that as a starter, because there's so much, like, there's new bosses, there's new ways of interacting with the end game, there's the whole new Atlas tree and all that. Like, don't really feel pressured to branch out into something you've never tried before as a skill if you don't have something that you feel comfortable with. Like, there's going to be plenty of stuff to keep you engaged, even if you're playing a build you're familiar with and know that you like already.
Yeah.
I can say a third build. As my consideration for your pick, Nugi.
Oh, for my pick?
Yeah, because you were like, you didn't really suggest a build, so I got you covered. I was also thinking about Absolution, which I think is a pretty decent. It's probably the best leveler for like summoners, and then it remains pretty decent, but I'm hesitant about it in terms of the event, because minions are kind of risky, because like you don't know the mechanics of the bosses, right? So if your minions just die, or if there's some sort of like skip, like sometimes it takes a long time to resummon the Absolution monsters, it gets really tricky. But then I was like, people have done, despite all of those issues, people have done well with summoners. Like the first Awakener kill was a skeleton summoner, and what was the kill for Maven? The HCSSF kill. Who was the first one to do it? Darky, probably.
No. Yeah,
for Maven, yeah.
Yes.
Slamming, wasn't it?
Slam? That was a slam, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, slams, right. Okay, that's not a summon, but it's close. I'm just saying that it's probably doable. So
I mean, you're also
it with Absolution.
Like, you're self-admittedly going for a Shaper kill as well, right? Like, I assume you know the Shaper fight.
Well, let's not get carried away now.
Option. I've done Shaper before, once, twice, 4 years ago.
Just stay away from those Elder slams.
Okay, Elder. Okay, I'm not even gonna get into it. You know what? I'm just gonna back away.
But no, the Absolution thing would be a good shout, because then also, like, if you happen to get the jewels, you could do Skelly Mage stuff, which is definitely like pretty good, and summoning those are easy, you know.
I'll be honest, Absolution sounds absolutely not up my alley.
Have you played it?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't really like the summons too much, especially since so they didn't really. Maybe I played them like before they got like the first big buff. I tried them out, and they just yeah. I mean, they've gotten better since then.
Now.
Yeah.
To be fair, though,
I've seen builds with it. It didn't look that interesting. I'm like, I really like self-casting, and I really like ideas of bow. So I'm currently like thinking, what can we do in terms of bringing a big bow out there with the new rolls?
Okay, I've got another one for you then. you were kind of an innovator on Hex Blast as well. You were one of the first people to kick it off.
Yeah, I'm
Hex Blast
thinking about that
Ignite.
one. Yeah, I thought about that. I actually thought
pretty good.
Yeah, it's maybe a good build. I don't know. It's really awkward to boss with though.
Probably, yeah. I can imagine. But it zooms. It zooms so fast.
It's a nice go really quickly. But it was pretty trash. Like, okay, so problem. Okay, this is the problem with that build. EE is no longer available for big boss juice. That's a problem for that build. It's actually a problem because it worked so well with lower, like having that omega lowering of resist through other means, because you didn't need to use pen on there. That's gone, so that's rough.
Yeah, let's cycle back round. Ziggy, what sort of things? I know you're still trying to come up. You maybe said something about impale bow. What kind of flavor? What zest? What spices?
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I've looked at so many like different possibilities, skills, and just going through the list of buffs and other stuff, and digging through old ninja historical shit. And yeah, I am leaning towards bows because bows have a soft spot in my heart for them, but and you know, we got some buffs kind of, but yeah, maybe like impale bow champion is kind of maybe the easier of the two choices that I'm considering currently, and then the other is we've got these 5 to 6 property jewels going, and we've got a ton of implicits, which means a ton of new options for we saw like flat fire damage and whatnot, flat fire, lightning cold. I was like, what about, is it crazy to do some sort of like old school try Ellie bow action and you know, get a good old crit thicket happening and stack some of the new buffed Ellie rolls or something like that? But how do I go about executing that? I'm not sure yet, because whenever you like, if you look at anything that's like elemental like that for the past year or two, it's all elemental hit gem scaling. I don't want to do that.
I don't think you're crazy, Ziggy.
Go back to good old blast rain.
I think try Ellie bow. I think you can make it work.
I mean, Trinity's still insane, so
yeah, Trinity's good.
You can still do a lot there. I've seen Havoc's been doing speedruns with like bows and elemental, and he goes crit pretty early on softcore, and they look pretty strong. He's been getting, I think his fastest run was actually Reign of Arrows. It was like 3 hours and 20 minutes for Act Tenkitava first start, just running bows. Yeah. Pretty crazy.
Classic.
Yeah, I've been recommending Havoc to a lot of people, and it's like he's been getting like 3 hour to 3.5 hour times on like even everything. Like it's like I shot lightning arrow, did some Reign of Arrows. I think one thing I've seen that might be cool, Ziggy, is galvanic arrow, because of the way that like the AoE on that scales, and now there's this new thing where like you scale projectile speed, which scales your bow speed, which then scales your AoE on galvanic.
I was actually one I was looking at. I saw some posts and I was like, oh, it seems like it could be a bit of a meme build, but like Quill Rain, galvanic arrow, because now you can get that mastery so that the 100% projectile speed is 100% increased damage. Like helps offset the 30% less somewhat at least.
Synergy.
Yeah, I don't know. You're not really taking advantage of the bow buffs if you play Galvanic Arrow Quill Rain, though, because like neither Quill Rain nor Galvanic Arrow got buffed.
Well, apart from that, Galvanic Arrow got buffed from like the Proj Speed stuff, and the Quill Rain got buffed if you're then stacking Quill Rain with a bunch of 6 property Abyss Jewels.
I don't know that I plan around that early though. That's
wait. Are you saying he's not gonna have day 1 like full Abyss gear with like 15?
I am taking the Abyss Jewel thing, so surely I'll be rolling in 6 property Abyss Jewels day 1, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
And it's an old tier 1, absolutely. To be fair, getting the 6 property Abyss Jewels shouldn't be too difficult with the skill tree. It's just getting good ones that's gonna be tricky. Because like the skill tree seems like you can get to like anything on the skill tree so quickly, or skill tree atlas tree, I should call it, I guess.
Yeah.
So quickly you can get anywhere. It's really cool in that way. I thought that it's gonna be a lot more spread out, but it's pretty tight like that. I always felt like I had points left over. Sorry, mini rant.
We can circle back around to bows just so everyone gets an opportunity. Octavian, what are you sort of thinking about at the moment?
The one I've been practicing, which is my fallback if I can't make other things look good on paper, is a Rage Vortex Bladestorm Berserker. because they've been slowly adding more sources of rage generation into the game. There's the Axe Mastery for rage gen on hit that they added last league. Rage support has existed for a while, obviously. Rage from the Ascendancy. You can get minimum 10 Warcry power, which is 20 rage whenever you use a Warcry if you're under the threshold. And there's also a new influence mod as a glove implicit for rage generation. And they added slower loss of rage on one of the wheels on the tree a league or two ago. So even without Red Blade Banner, you can generate tons and tons of rage now as a Berserker if you go axes and get everything set up correctly. So I think it'll be perfectly fine as a starter. And the damage numbers look good. I mean, Rage Vortex with a decent amount of rage sacrificed just has good damage, even if you have like a crappy 330 DPS axe, like it still reaches like 1 to 1.5 million DPS. So I think it'll be fine. But I do want to play some new hit-based spellcaster because a lot of those look spicy. I just can't get any of them to look good enough on paper for like a hardcore start.
Like, have you looked at?
I've looked at Frostbolt a bunch because the Frostbolt, there's an alt quality Frostbolt that gives them a chance to return. And they can return after they either travel their full distance or hit like a wall or something. And when they come back, they can actually hit the same target again. So if you do like Sniper's Mark with Frostbolt, you can have a bunch of returning Frostbolts and get good extra damage. But that relies on the alt quality, which makes it not a great starter plan.
You're doing hardcore trade, right?
Most likely. I might start in hardcore solo self-found and then transfer over. Just like if I get a really good start, maybe I can compete and maybe I can design a unique. That would be cool. But if I don't and things go poorly, I'll just transfer to hardcore trade after a week or so, probably. Because that's where I'd prefer to play anyways. And the other one I've been looking at, which looks the best out of the ones I've checked, is like Lightning Spellcaster Inquisitor. And you can use a bunch of different lightning skills, like Shock Nova or Storm Call or Ball Lightning. They're all fine because they kind of get propped up by Orb of Storms.
Didn't Crackling Lens get like another buff in the patch notes? I saw someone talk about that on Reddit. Apparently, like it got updated.
I can check.
Would you play Soul Rend if it got buffed, Tarke?
Soul Rend's, I've really missed. I did a Azaneth's Chant Corsicara Soul Rend build however many leagues ago, and that slapped. That was such a good build, and I get people asking me every league like, "Oh, does that build still work?" Blah 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 blah. But yeah, it's now a 0.65 cast time.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of like the thing for me. Like Soul Rend and Essence Drain is kind of like Arc and Crackling Lens, especially when Arc gets so juiced up. It's kind of hard to play Crackling Lens, justifying it for me. Anyway.
I don't know. I could see Crackling Lens being pretty solid. I think Crackling Lens is like Lightning Tendrils, but better because it's got sort of that channeling playstyle where you have the Intensify, so you want to sit still to deal damage, but it's much more flexible because you could only like cast twice. Then if you have to move, you can move without being mispenalized.
Didn't they nerf Intensify by removing it from the skill tree? Or am I misremembering?
They nerfed Unleash. I don't think they nerfed Intensify scaling.
No, like last league. Because it used to be able to get another stack, and now I don't think you can anymore from the skill tree.
Get another stack.
Mastery.
Yeah, Mastery, isn't it?
Oh, they put it on the Mastery. That's what it was.
Yeah, Unleash +1 seals as a Mastery, and Intensity +1 Intensity as a Mastery.
Yeah,
Intensify is actually something that I was going to use to try and get Frostbolt. Like, I want to do a pure Frostbolt build. I know Frostbolt Ice Nova will be good, but I want to try and do like a pure Frostbolt build if I can. And I was going to try and use Pinpoint in order to make that work with the alt quality Frostbolt and having it return and getting extra hits. But it doesn't really seem like a great starter if I want to pursue that idea. Like, I think Frostbolt Ice Nova, excellent starter. But the particular kind that I got interested in and I want to play just doesn't really seem like a good starter. And I'm this way about builds where I'll like get an idea that I really find interesting, and if I can't pursue that one specific thing about the build, I just don't even want to play. So,
I know what you mean.
Like I'm gonna have to do that build second or third because if I play it without the alt quality, I'm just not gonna have a good time.
No, I can definitely relate to that. One thing I was curious to ask you guys about, what do you think about the fact that Cremation didn't get any buffs, right?
No.
What was that about? They were like, buff all the spells. I'm like, what about that one? Nah, it's fine.
It's not really a spell. I mean,
it's pretty good.
It's a spell.
I don't
Orb of Storms. Or not Orb of Storms. Stormbrand. All the brands, they didn't get... did they get buffs?
Armageddon brand got a nerf to its cast time.
And they gave a bunch of damage.
Penance brand got buffed.
Right.
Pretty heavily, too.
I just find it odd that they didn't Especially since like the best cremation build was like the whole Archmage thing, which is kind of like.
But it's not really
I don't
self-cast.
find it odd.
It's like a duration based. Like it's more like a trap in it how it plays. Honestly, it was already good.
I think Armageddon brand Fire Trap will be an excellent starter. So like scaling Ignite with the Armor brand and like burning damage off the Fire Trap and stuff. I've seen some people just going like straight Fire Trap and like doing hybrid burning damage Ignite. That's also fine. But for that, you'd want to pick up some throw speed, and it's a little harder to do that if you're not in the right area of the tree. So if you want like maybe a smoother clearing setup that might not have quite as much damage, then Armor brand Ignite plus Fire Trap for single target might feel better.
There were people doing just Burning Ground Fire Trap in Scourge League in SSF, like Chieftains, and I saw a couple of Elementalists, and I saw a couple of people in SSF doing Ignite Elementalists, and I was looking into it then, and yeah, with the buffs, it's big. I think it's the biggest burning ground in the game now, isn't it? I'm pretty sure. Like source of burning.
Far.
I will look it up.
It's massive. It's like 4K or something stupid now with the buffs.
It's like 4.2.
Yeah.
4,170. Yes, that's
so high.
That is disgusting. It gained more than 1,000 base damage on the dot.
Slightly good.
To be fair, the uptime on it is pretty rough, and the AoE, like when you're scaling the AoE
is an issue.
That's why I really like the idea of pairing it with like Armor brand Ignite for clear.
Yeah,
sure.
Because then you'd only need the Fire Traps for the bossing. Not that pure Fire Trap will be bad. I think if you go Fire Trap and scale like Ignite plus also the Burning Ground for like a hybrid scaling setup, that would be very strong, but might not clear as nice.
Yeah, that was my idea. But then just use like pure Fire Trap and then use Proliferation and just swap that out for like bosses. Just make sure to throw the trap at the rare mob so it gets affected by the Burning Ground.
Yeah.
Hopefully that would have been enough.
I think it'd be a solid build. Personally, I've been, and I'm going to have to say this caveat again because it irritates people to understand it. I'm going to be playing a Bleed Bow build League starter. I think Gladiator is the better starter. I'm going Rupture Deadeye because I haven't played a Rupture Deadeye before, but it looks pretty cool. Using no gear, but what will be the equivalent of like a tier 3 Fizz bow once the change has gone through with 1 dot multi-roll is like 1.1 million serious damage. With just that.
There's no be fucking around, Tarke, because Amy's playing your build, I believe.
I saw that. She messaged me like, "Oh, can I play this?" I'm like, "Oh."
Pressure's on.
You're fine recommending it to like 4,000 people, but then Amy.
Well, the problem is I like Amy,
you, buddy.
Whereas like people on YouTube, like, but no, it's one of those things. It's genuinely like there were people playing that build in Scourge, like deleting content with it. Like it works currently, and it's just been buffed. The thing is though, is that the Gladiator version is way harder to mess up. So I keep telling people if they want to play it, just play the Glad version because like it's really difficult to do that wrong. Whereas with the Deadeye version, you need to have a basic understanding of like bleed duration and stuff. Because basically the way that Rupture works is you apply a debuff to an enemy. It stacks up to 3 times. Each debuff is 25% more bleed damage, 25% reduced duration of bleeds. So if you went like 0 duration scaling, full Swift Affliction like Rupture vibes, you'd have like a 2.4 second puncture or something. And then you would struggle maintaining punctures and maintaining all these things. I've got a base duration puncture of 5 seconds using Swift Affliction. And if I put in Unbound Ailments, it's like a 10-second puncture. And then another thing people don't know about is you don't need to crit with the puncture. You can use any crit that bleeds to apply Rupture. So you can use like Mirage Archers or Ballista Totems to maintain 100% uptime on the Rupture stuff. And yeah, it looks lit. It looks pretty cool. Looks pretty neat.
You have to crit for your crit multi to apply to your dot though, right?
Yeah, but like the build has like my basic version with just a Harby without a crit roll, just like a normal Harby, has something like 88% crit chance. If you had like a crit bow, you get a crit capped. Like, it's quite easy to get crit capped on bows, and that was one thing I was going to throw back to you, Ziggy, is if Amy does go down that route and she does do the crit cap, she can then give your Quill Rain her crit chance with the Link skill.
It does want to do a Link skill. We had fun with the Link skills. We did the Fire Link stuff last league, which was really, really cool, actually. I think they could have done more with the link skills, but it was still pretty cool. Yeah, so she's keen to try that out maybe. Crit crapped. But
That's the first
I mean,
time
as
I've
a
heard
bow
that.
builder,
The link stuff, I'm just happy that it worked out because that's the first time that I've heard it. Most of the time it was some like weird challenge for people like kill Awakener while linked to your anime guardian or something like that. It's like that's scary.
the filing stuff was really good. The other ones are a little bit weirder and more niche. The filing build requires having 2 builds that are designed to benefit from the 2. So like an RF build linking and then giving a ton of fire damage to someone else is doing like an ignite build, which is what we did, and it was great. But yeah, it's not really. It could not be less mainstream of series of skills. So that's a reason why you wouldn't have heard anyone using them ever, because no one will, because they're super niche. And GGG will completely forget about them from here on out. Mark my words.
Well, hang on. We could make it. We'll make an agreement, because this definitely affects me. We all agree, and I think Ziggy, you'll agree with this as well, that if anyone on this podcast wins a unique design, we'll collaborate together on that unique. And we could make a link unique for you and Amy, Ziggy.
No one's going to do that.
Oh, no, I'm sure people would absolutely love that. If, like...
I'll tell you what, if I win, I'll do it. I'm not playing Hawk or Solo Self-Down, but if I somehow manage to pull out a win, I'll do it.
I feel like we should have been highlighting the leagues that we're playing. Well, I guess everybody did except Tarke. Tarke didn't say what league he's playing.
Softcore SSF.
You're not doing a private league this time?
I haven't done a private league in years.
Wait, what?
Years? Yeah, it's been... The last private league I did was...
It's not been... It hasn't been years. It hasn't been a year.
It's been over a year. Apparently it's like synthesis or something. No, I did... No, yeah, 2 years. I might have done one very briefly after ExileCon.
Jesus, time flies. It's been that long, huh?
I think I did like maybe... I think I did one like mid-league in I know in Harvest I did one.
Yeah, I did the one in Harvest.
But I was in that, yeah. Sorry. Ziggy did one in Harvest.
That was my league, Tarke. You shit.
So yeah, in that case, I haven't done a private league in years.
It might have been your private league, Ziggy, but it was Tarke's league. Haven't you seen that video? He made Harvest, bro. Come on.
Well, that was a collaborative effort with Octavian.
First, you steal my Atlas.
I don't need to be involved in this.
I didn't want to drag Octavian in, to be honest. It was already embarrassing enough. Sorry.
So Tarke steals my private leagues, and now he's also stealing my Atlas passive tree builds as well. Middle passive, you shit.
I think we can all agree, for anyone who's watched it, I do have the best Atlas guide. Undeniably.
He stole my build.
I made a crab.
There's some really fancy designs.
There's some good ones in the new one.
By which I mean I stole a crab from someone in my chat.
I guess since we've mentioned it, we can talk about Atlas a little bit, and then we can circle back around to trying to give each other build ideas. Let's go back around from the beginning. Raiz, Atlas tree, reactions.
Really cool. I really like the customization. From the sounds of it, the fact that the respec orbs are dropping as frequently as like 10 times more than regrets. I think that's a pretty good number. And I was pretty surprised that it's supposed to have 600 nodes, right? It really felt like I was always able to get everything that I wanted on it. Obviously, considering the fact that I'm going to be going for the event, my heavy focus was dropping maps, but dropping maps in a way that doesn't leave me vulnerable to like stand around for a long time. So for instance, like Harbinger is really nice for maps, but simultaneously you don't want to be like sitting around and killing them for a long time. So, and then also like the Kirak missions are just maps, but then you can't apply the influences off of the device on them. So I had to dodge that as well. So I think I ended up focusing on potentially Exiles, Harvest, and Essences, which is pretty much just hay work from the many leagues previously. Yeah, but potentially with Exiles if I've got the extra bonus points. And yeah, the impressions were great. Again, I really like it a lot. I think that going forward, it's a better system as it applies to everything. I'm a little bit concerned that it's going to be confusing to people who are even familiar with the Path of Exile, like regular skill tree. That like they finally gotten their grip on what the skill tree is, and now they're having this like new skill tree that they have to figure out. And I remember when I think Ziggy ended up asking Chris about that on the Q&A, and Chris was like, "Oh yeah, PoE players are familiar with skill trees." Like, yeah, they are, but like after 2,000 hours of play, so that might be a concern. But overall, I like it a lot. I think it's potentially a big improvement.
To be fair, like with a character passive tree, you can, if you don't know what you're doing, you can pretty easily build a character that doesn't function. Like it just can't kill things at the tier of content you need to be at.
True.
With an Atlas passive tree, if you draw a picture of a crab, your Atlas still works. You can still do maps. And then it'll even be a little bit better, you know?
Like actually viable.
It'll be significantly better because so many people are focusing on the nodes that give you something when it comes to past league content, again, like essences or exiles or whatever. But if you're just using travel nodes, that might potentially get you a lot of maps, and then you've got the duplicate maps. You can scale your difficulty of the maps, increasing like rewards, all that sort of stuff. Like even if you're just messing around, it'll be heavily beneficial. And it, again, I cannot emphasize this enough, it affects everything, because I've seen this feedback so much where people were like, this seems worse than what it was previously. Like, I get where you're coming from, that some of these nodes might be weaker than what they were before, but it's literally applying to everything that you're always doing 100% of the time. And that just can't be a worst thing ever.
I think the thing which is cool about that is in the cases where it's possibly worse, it's in like the extreme trade league, like super min-max, perfectly rolled watchstones, very specialized region thing. But like that's such a small niche, and even for those players, they now have the benefit that they can now combine all these like synergistic league mechanics that they couldn't before because they were like mutually exclusive to different regions.
It's all in one place too. You don't have to like get your Atlas set up in your correct region, get your watchstones rolled correctly, and roll the right sextants to all target it. Like, I mean, you can still roll sextants, but those are going to be a lot less relevant as you're only going to gain access to them towards the top end of the end game. So like you don't have to interact with 3 or 4 different systems. You just build your Atlas tree and maybe throw some scarabs in.
And they don't then, if you're that kind of player, which again, I like how like you get people who worry about like, I see people on Reddit talking about like, dude, you're not like that person. But like, I think Balamage was talking about this on a podcast recently. Like, he's saved so many thousands of alterations that he would have spent rolling. And also, like, think about how many years you've saved on your hands, not having to do thousands of alterations every league, rolling your watchstones. So yeah. Nugi, what do you think about the Atlas skill tree? What was your reaction to it?
I mean, it just looks good. I don't know if I had much of a reaction to it.
Nothing that you were like really excited. You saw it and like, oh, I want to use this, or like.
No, I was just happy I didn't have to choose a region. I think because I'm really because like none of this is really that new. It's just like we just approach it differently. Yeah. Yeah, no, so I'm really excited about getting this Atlas, but I don't know. I think the shrine nodes look really cool. I think that's like so
Aren't
far.
you excited about the single labyrinth node for better trials now that
hey,
like
suit size small is really happy about that cluster.
I don't even think so.
Is he? I don't think I saw him tweet about it. He said it was underwhelming.
Oh, never mind.
I'm like,
I'm inclined to agree. It's pretty darn underwhelming. People don't do the trials. Like, you got to reward people really heavily for doing the trials if you want to encourage them to. For people who haven't memorized a bunch of the notables on the tree yet, the one trial wheel is Trial of Glory that gives labyrinth trials and areas have 20% chance to award an improved offering to the goddess, and areas have a higher chance to contain a trial of ascendancy, which is a cool idea. But I feel like they could have just gone a little more ham on the numbers.
It could have been 100%, I reckon.
Yeah, it could have been 50, 80, 100%. I don't think most people would still have taken it. And for the people who like doing lab, it would have been cool.
Areas have plus 4% chance to contain a trial of ascendancy. Does that mean that is that a flat amount? I would imagine so.
On top of the base chance. And the small nodes each give +2. So if you really want a lot of trials, you can get a bunch.
Does that mean that you can run white maps for your trials now? Because they're supposed to only spawn in yellow maps plus. So maybe that's kind of nice.
I am not sure. It may or may not break that rule.
I imagine that's a hard minimum thing before so that they're just not active. But it doesn't actually say. It should probably say if that's the case.
I mean, it would help me. I like that. Because it's so respectable, right? Because I was thinking about my Atlas tree for the event again. And so I ended up with this skill tree, Atlas tree, that kind of like encapsulated everything that I wanted. But part of the event is quickly progressing through the influence of the 2 different bosses that you're trying to get through. And one of the nodes, Baptized by Fire, is maps have 10% chance to award double progress towards encountering the Searing Exarch, which is the same thing that we had previously with like Conquerors, that you're just like speeding up your progression essentially. And I kept thinking like, how do I fit in this and the one for the other boss? But you don't have to. You can just spec into the fire guy, get done with doing his influence, and then you spec into the other guy. So that's why this customization is so, to me anyway, it's really freaking cool, because you're really picking your path, and you can run literally any map you want now, which I've been missing that. The shaped maps and all this sort of stuff, I never had a problem. I never felt like I needed variety in PoE, and like getting forced to run different maps when I just want to stick to one always kind of sucked, and that was like difficult to accomplish in SSF. Only towards endgame was it really like meaningful once you had the favorite maps and everything. Like now all of that is encapsulated in this new game, because people are treating it like a league sometimes, but it's the new game. Like we're going to be playing this for a minimum of a year, and I think it's a good way to do it going forward.
Before I ask you, Ziggy, I just want to ask, because no one's mentioned it yet. Did you guys see the second button?
Second button?
The second button.
No.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Where is it?
In the trailers, we see the Atlas, and in the top left, there's a button. And then when you see the skill tree, in the top left, there's a button. Right?
Don't
and it's like,
worry about the button.
All right. So it's like you would be like, oh, so you see the Atlas, you click the button, you see your skill tree, you click the button, you go to the Atlas. But in some of the footage in the trailer, there's a second button.
Ziggy, do you still have that tinfoil hat?
Is this
and it's a different color.
Don't worry about the button. A pinky swear, or is it a?
This is different.
Not a pinky swear.
There's a second button with a different color in the trailer.
I have not noticed that.
Balamage has been talking about it for a while.
Atlas cluster jewels.
He's the only other person I've seen talking about the button.
Was he talking about it because he thought it would be a way to like push the zone level of areas up? Because that man is coping pretty hard wanting to get an eye level 85 Blizzard Crown for his build.
No, it looks like
had copium trying to get
the Path of Exile account is saying don't worry about the button, but it looks like there's like another passive tree or something, or like another summon.
Another passive tree.
Another summon. There's 2 buttons. There's 2 buttons. There's 2 buttons. We don't know what the other button does.
See, I was gonna say like, oh, don't worry about it because they removed it like 3 months ago and the video was filmed then. But then if the PoE account says to not worry about it, now it thickens.
Yeah,
because
also wasn't that the whole deal with like Maven? Is like we didn't know that there was like the final like Maven tree, right?
Yeah, it's true. Weren't you guys not paid to talk about the button? To not talk about the button? I thought you guys didn't we all get paid to not talk about the button?
GGG never pays me.
Only me.
I was gonna say, imagine getting paid by GGG.
It means because we're not employed by them.
Yeah, I have a feeling
it would follow.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I mean, depends who you ask, right?
Yeah. Ziggy, buttons aside, what are you excited about Atlas passive tree?
I had a lot of fun poking bubbles in circles for 6 hours yesterday. 0 build planning, 100% Atlas tree planning. I'll be super ready for endgame, except I won't have a character, so that'll be interesting. But I have like a billion things that I like about it, and that I'm keen to talk about on that side of things. But
I've got a billion.
Yep, a billion.
That's a lot.
Hang on,
Ziggy.
Ziggy. I've solved the problem. Amy will play the video game, and you'll just play the Atlas skill tree. So when she does a map, you just lean over like, hang on, I've got this. You click, and then you back off, and as you go back to playing with your calculator. Then she does another map. You're like, you run on over.
Here with like 10 tabs of this tree open, being like, I got it. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd do things a little different here and actually like talk about something that's maybe a downside for some people. So because you kind of touched on the idea that like, people are saying that like it's worse for them than before, and I think you're right. In most cases, it's not going to be unless you were like giga juicing with like super expensive watchstones. So it really doesn't affect most people in that regard, because we've lost those watchstones effectively, and not all of that power has been brought back to this, and it's a bit more of a level playing field, which in general I think is great. However, in tinkering yesterday, I did kind of discover that if you are going for a bossing strategy, you do have to make substantial sacrifices to your regular mapping content interactions, which you didn't have to do before because that was separate to the Maven's unique tree for the bossing stuff. So now you kind of like, you do the upside down V at the top of the tree and pick up all the bossing stuff. And it's really cool that you can like do that. And you're traveling through the effective modifiers on non-unique maps nodes there, which is really good. So in general, your like mapping is still going to be quite good, but you only really have 20-ish passives to play around. So you can only really pick one other league mechanic to get if you grab like a couple other things that are just like really good otherwise, like the extra rare monsters per map and whatnot. So you're really restricted to only like one league mechanic at that point. So you're like, okay, I'll take my expedition or my harvest or whatever it is that I want. So that's kind of like the only
I thought
downside.
that same thing, but there's a counterpoint to it. That's only if you spec into all the bosses at once, because you don't have to spec into all the bosses at once. And also, all the new bosses are fully itemizable. So if you are just like, I'm a bosser, all I want to do is boss, you could then buy them. And also,
well, that's true. A lot of the benefits from a lot of those nodes are in acquiring or moving towards the bossing content. But yes, you can do the other content and then buy your way towards them, and then just respec some things that are the payoff. So absolutely, yeah. But like in general, I said I got a billion things I like about it.
That was the main thing I wanted to ask, though, is how do we feel about the fact that, because that's one thing that I think could maybe get a little bit frustrating, is if you feel like whenever you do your blue session, you're expecting to blue, and it's like, oh, now I need to unspec a big chunk of my tree through the red stuff. Do you feel like that will be something which might get irritating after a while?
Yes.
Yeah.
It'll become irritating after a while. I'm just gonna put that out there. Yeah. So I had a long talk today about like with people in terms of like who this is gonna affect. And I mean, if anyone's played like a lot of endgame, especially on SSF, what ends up like we run things in bulk all the time because we don't want to miss out on the whatever it is the passives gives you. So you load up with whatever you have in a region, you roll your stones, you do whatever, right? So every now and then you will load up like 40 sets of Shaper. And once you're running that, like Elder Shaper stuff, you can't really stop. It's like, you can, but that comes at the cost of, well, then I start doing all the other stuff again without my passives. This sucks. Now, so you're gonna do your flip-flop sometimes, and then eventually you're gonna be like, oh, okay, now I'm back. And then now you need to like run your Elder or whatever. So you're constantly gonna like run into this problem. So yeah, I don't know. I think this is gonna be something that's gonna hamper people a lot. I think also with the so you're talking about how like the top branch, right? But you don't want to like, you kind of want to be able to swap, because like the thing is that what's gonna happen. We're gonna enter a point where, oh, I really need this upgrade. So either you're gonna be unlucky and not get the upgrade within the content you have, and then you have to respec back to the other stuff to gather enough stuff again to then respec back to the let's try and get the upgrade, or you're gonna get it early and you're gonna be stuck with all this content and you just respec the whole thing. So there's like a ton of different pain points where it's like, because I think it's actually pretty costly to respec this around and not just costly, it's also time consuming, clicking all the individual nodes. I hope that they're going to allow us to do the same thing as they do with cluster jewels, so where you can click a previous point
and it like specs
and you can
everything.
just unspecs the whole thing, or even like, and now this is crazy. Hear me out here. A template, and it just like if you have enough regret points, over to the other one. I really don't think that this like weight or this time consumption is where you need to put the resources of people. I think if you have the regrets, it should be easy to swap them around so you can play more. The thing is, what people want to do, the way I see it, is that they want to get to the new setup so they can go in and farm again. Now, if there is a limiting factor, it shouldn't be how long it takes to click all these things. It should be, do I have the regrets to respec? Right? Because then eventually, if you swap around a lot, well, I can't keep respecing around because I just run out of resources.
It's one of those things as well of I've seen this argument is because obviously what we're talking about, most people won't do this respecing, but even just the idea of having like a core middle tree, because a lot of people are saying middle trees, and then you have like a blue branch and a right branch that you sort of seen, that's going to be something quite common, I feel like. But yeah, if you were to respec in the current system, because it's only like 4 little nodes you might change in a region, think about how long that takes you. Now think, okay, I need to do 30 points and then redo 30 point, like, you know, that is going to get pretty time consuming. I think this is a much better system in nearly every single way, but that is the one thing that I've always kind of been a bit like, ooh. And also I feel like it's with the fact that we have like scarabs and everything in the game now, and this is more of an SSF thing, as you say, like you bank everything up. You know, I very much see a scenario where it's like I store all of my alvas and I never run them, and then like I get like 50 alva missions saved up, and then it's like, okay, now I will now spec into alva, and like I've now saved up like all of these metamorph scarabs. I now spec into the metamorphs. That it's good that I have that level of freedom if I want to go down that way, but I could see a situation a couple of leagues from now anyway, once the initial appeal is worn off, where that is a problem point. But anyway, Octavian, what was your like initial reaction to all the new stuff?
Similarly to Raiz, I was pleasantly surprised by how easy it is to splash into a handful of mechanics that you like and still have some points left over. I rather like that. And how centralized a lot of the master stuff is at the bottom middle of the tree, I think is great. Being able to just like, if you're focusing on some other mechanic and you just want like 3 or 4 points to throw at like give me some more Nico missions when I complete maps, or give me some more Jun missions, you know, not going hard on Jun and changing how the entire betrayal mechanic works, but just getting a few extra missions while you're doing maps is great, because that lets you then save up until you have, say, a couple dozen Jun missions and spec your tree a little bit differently to then go and pursue those Jun missions and then spec back afterwards. So I think they did a really good job with some of the design of like the core and the bottom of the tree. The top of the tree is a little less intriguing to me, but maybe that's just because I don't know how powerful some of the effects for the new bosses are actually going to be. Like, I don't know how strong the new influence stuff is for the new bosses, like how much I'll be chasing that stuff, how strong some of the new uniques that they have that we haven't seen yet, if there are any that we haven't seen are. So it's more of an unknown, so I'm kind of less excited about it, if that makes sense. But hell, as a whole, the tree looks amazing.
How excited are you guys for the Reddit threads about how shrines are eating people's maps and all this sort of shit? I can't wait.
What?
Yeah, like people are gonna only spec into the notables and take like 0 travel nodes, and they're just not gonna be getting maps, and they're gonna be complaining about how they, you know, the shrines are eating their maps. The exiles are stealing my maps. Every time I get an exile on the map, it doesn't drop a map.
I think we're going to be flooded in maps, Raiz. Just saying.
I think
it's impossible to not choose maps. It's like almost impossible.
As a small aside, if you do pick the shrine nodes and you're doing a lot of shrine stuff, just seems like a legit strat. The shrine nodes look strong. Make sure you're playing maps where the shrines don't get cucked. If you're doing something like channel or something like that, the shrines are going to be awful. Half the time they will spawn in a spot where they literally don't have the ability to spawn mobs around them. And so you just lose out on 3 or 4 packs of mobs. Like, do relatively open maps if you're going to do a lot of shrine hunting.
Also talking about shrines, if you're a streamer watching this who actually like bothers making emotes and stuff, you win Twitch if you make a mega goal. Big brain. Raiz, when you were saying the Exile stuff, I sent this to Octavian yesterday, but he was busy playing League of Legends, so he wasn't very interested. There's a Atlas spec you can do where you get all the rogue stuff, and then you dip into Tormented Spirits, and the Tormented Spirits give 90 quant to anything affected by the spirits, and then you have it so the rogue exiles are the spirits, and then the bosses have the spirits, and the bosses are guarded by the rogues, and the rogue exiles have like double drops, and it's like...
And you die to Xandro Blood Drinker.
Looks pretty good.
Two things about that. First of all, I'm very happy for you, Octavian, that you're not playing Lost Ark. Okay, at least we're not a full Lost Ark podcast. And two, there's also a node that then doubles the amount of exiles, which I'm pretty sure applies to the 20 that you have an 8% chance to spawn. So you can spawn 20 that then gets doubled, and then you've got like individual chances to spawn exiles, and you can roll it on the map itself too, so that's like 50 exiles at least that you're running around.
And you take the node, which, as Ziggy calls it, gives them a hat, and then they get the currency reward boxes.
I think they brought Precinct back this league as well. So for thematic reasons, you could run Precinct for the Rogue Exile bosses.
True, those guys are hard.
God. They're nasty.
they're not like normal exiles. They've been juicing. Precincts is pretty tricky.
I've been really pleasantly surprised by a number of mechanics that kind of were underserved in previous iterations, or in the region trees and stuff. Like, I mean, one, shrines, we talked about that a little bit, but I think Abyss got kind of a lot of love with this tree. There's the super Abyss jewels that you can generate, though those are very RNG heavy. But more exciting than those for me is the fact that I believe you can get 160% pack size for Abysses in total through small nodes and the big one that gives like 100%, which is kind of absurd. That is goddamn nuts, because that also will scale off of pack size in your map. So you'll get just packs of Abyss monsters popping out of the holes as it travels, the Abysses, I guess, as it travels, that will account for an entire map's worth of monsters each.
Yeah. I think one thing which is really cool as well is, and I remember specifically talking to Chris about this many years ago, funny enough, when I was also playing a lot of Bleed Bow, and it was my frustration with the gating of like mandatory modifiers behind like iLevel 86 mods and stuff, and how they've said like with this new influence system they're hoping to do less of that now. But if you are someone in SSF or someone who trades less, if you're like, I really need Elder stuff, you could just like rush up to the top of the tree and get all the Elder stuff so that you're more likely to drop Elder influence items. Or like if you need a specific Conqueror mod, you can just rush that.
It's quick. It's like 30 nodes.
It's really quick. I planned out a tree where you just like you route up through all the essence stuff and you get that, and it's like, yeah, you can do that super early. One thing I'm really looking forward to, because everyone's going to be taking essence early because it's really strong, is people not realizing how terrifying like an 8 mod essence duplicated thing is going to be. I'm really looking forward to some of the top hardcore SSF racers dying, not to the new endgame bosses, but to the new endgame like god essence monster.
One thing to be really careful of with essence mobs in particular, if you see one of those big slow lumbering zombies that leaves behind a chaos cloud when it dies, if you see one of those with a high level contempt essence, it will make a chaos cloud that will shred you in moments, because the chaos cloud is based off the main hand damage of the monster, and contempt scales that, I'm pretty sure. So you get a chaos cloud that does like 20,000 chaos damage to you in a second.
And I can't remember which one it is, but one of the essence one, it has the fun little hand that comes and grabs your character and pulls you into it, so it then pulls you into the cloud.
It's even better because that skill, I don't think it's ever been fixed. It's called Envy, the one that creates the hand. And so when it pulls you in, it actually pulls you on top of the mob. So if the mob has like hatred or the fire one, it releases a bunch of projectiles that then like hit stuff around it. But if you're inside of the mob, they all hit you, so you just instantly die. So
it's good. It's good that Essence can be scary again. I remember back in Essence League, they were terrifying. There were videos on the Path subreddit of people who like opened an Essence beast that had regen, and it just was literally unkillable because they didn't have the damage to get through it.
And then when they finally did, it had what's that thing called? Volatile Dead without a ball.
Yeah, it's just instant.
That's really fun.
That is one thing that I do really look forward to, is seeing how there's gonna be so much like, oh, I must optimize, I must take everything, and then you get it where people just like they take like all the Harby nodes early, then they can't kill the Harbies because they're too difficult. And it's like,
be so tough.
That's me. I'm totally doing that.
Also, just on the note, I want people to run Abyss. I'm gonna chill for Abyss again. Somebody in chat mentioned it, and I forgot. Gilded Abyss Scarabs also give 50% pack size, I believe. So you can get over 200% Abyss pack size, which is then going to scale off of map pack size. It's so obscene.
Also, Ziggy, to make your little duo squad even harder, you and Amy could spec into the Einharp assists and does 1,000% more damage. And then you could be the triple bow squad, just blasting away at things.
Good old Einharp. Yeah.
All right.
Amy doesn't want to run the Einharp passage. Oh, that actually reminds me though that so we were planning like, oh, how do we co-op this? How do we co-op this? And a few nice discoveries is that there's a real nice distinction between left and right side of the tree, where you want to do your like delirium juicing with incursion and beyond and whatnot, or if you want to say like chase a few of things like metamorph and bestiary and blight and heist, they're all on the left side. And then if you want to be, you can have on the right side, you've got a very clear distinction of things as well. You've got like things like expedition, delve, breach, betrayal, abyss. They're all like very clearly grouped left side or right side for the most part. And because the bossing stuff is also divided a little bit with the Exarch and the Eater of Worlds, we're like, co-op wise, we can progress both of our trees at the same time as we complete maps. And Amy can build left side for some of the mechanics that I won't be getting, and pick up the Exarch stuff as well as the synthesis stuff, which I really want but couldn't afford in my tree. And I can do right side stuff and focus on expedition and the Eater of Worlds and go get Maven and Conqueror stuff and still have plenty of points. So you're talking about having like, feeling like you have like 10 points left over to throw towards some things. It's even better when you've got someone to take the other half of the tree for you.
No, I'm very jealous of that. It's because I used to play, I think for like a year or two straight, I played like exclusively duo mapping, and this is the first new thing in Path of Exile. I'm like, oh, I kind of miss playing with another person, because that would be really cool having that set up. Also, the fact that because everything's itemizable now, you can have like one of you that leans more into mapping, the other one leans slightly more into bossing, so like you can feed each other as stuff and everything. It's
I think there's a lot you can do there.
The one mechanic that I would say is somewhat of an exception to that is Ritual. Ritual seems pretty darn spread. I don't think anything Ritual related is on like the far right of the tree, but there's stuff way up in the top middle and then way down in the bottom left. They didn't seem to want to make it super easy to get everything Ritual.
It's just that there's one cluster at the very top. That's all. Like, which is the always have 4 rituals thing. So yeah, it's just a little bit more awkward, but I don't know. Otherwise, it's not too bad. It's still very left side though.
Briefly, love you, Kane. Kane he was my old duo guy. He was in chat. He never watches my stream, so it was funny that he was there the one time that I said that.
This is way too positive. Okay, I want to go back to the good old Baeclast. All right, what's up with the Kirak mission nodes?
I'm really, I will say, it's so lame that it doesn't get scaled. It's so lame.
It doesn't get scaled. You can't do the influence stuff on it, and it doesn't scale with the freaking Atlas tree. What a missed out opportunity! Why did they make this choice? I understand that the old system had to work like that because Zana was inside of maps, but they have this opportunity and they're not taking advantage of it. I don't know. It's really, really bad, I think.
Wait, what? Explain that.
So all of the let's say you spec your entire Atlas into Abyss. You're like, I want to do the Abyss stuff, and then you run the Kirak missions. None of that passes over. Your whole Atlas tree spec, none of that passes into the Kirak
maps.
Oh, so Kirak missions is just like vanilla mission, like just vanilla maps.
It's like a vanilla Atlas.
Oh, that's boring.
Even
I'm
if you could
hoping
like
that
apply influences, it would be good because you're applying the thing like it's
Ooh.
right there. Why don't you just let us do this? I don't know. They seem so useless, even though
Yeah.
on paper they're strong nodes on the tree, but they just don't apply. They're not good.
I mean, they still have value in the fact that they'll probably have like a lot of just like giving you like conquerors and stuff like that, but it is still a massive shame that you can't like spec for it.
I think a lot of it is about like the scouting missions and being able to roll a scouting mission into getting a breach stone or getting a conqueror map or getting a guaranteed blight map or something. Just doing the regular vanilla maps from him will probably not be very relevant after you've gotten good Atlas completion. Useful for jumping up your Atlas completion a bit further, which has more value because now that's how you fill out your tree. But yeah, other than that,
you do still use his maps to re-roll the vendor pool for him so that you can buy more maps. So there's that. You can buy a Conqueror map for 20 chaos still probably from him. That's boggers.
I mean, it'll be strong early. Like, at least it's one of those things that it will have valid use. If you're someone whose thing is like, I just want to progress through the Atlas as quickly as possible, then like, yeah, taking the early Kirak nodes is good. There are very few like modifiers on the tree that I've looked at and been like, I'd never really take that. Like the lab one, I did think briefly, like if in SSF I got very unlucky and I weren't getting any labs showing up and I was near it, maybe I would very briefly spec into it. But no, I think for the most part they've done a really good job on that. So yeah, I'm pretty thumbs up about the whole thing. Does anyone have anything else they want to talk about Atlas, or should we circle back into build stuff? I'm happy to linger on Atlas as long as you want.
It's a bummer about the map, the stuff not affecting Kirak. Like I said, it was a really good opportunity to finally fix that. But I'm on the hopium that the new Kirak mission stuff is actually just like really good even by itself, and that's why they didn't do it. Hopefully,
it may also be. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking that did they talk at all about like increasing the amount that you're getting, or are they relying that on the fact that you can specialize into it? Because maybe we're just not meant to run all of them. You're just like fishing for the right one because you can look through them the way that you were like last time with Zana.
I think that's what it's going to end up being. Like, yeah. If you can reroll it, you'll be fishing for him. If you stay in those points towards the end game, then it's staying in those points to gamble on his inventory and look for something good.
Also, I would imagine you would scale his inventory up because they know that the Atlas doesn't affect it, so they'll probably be more likely to give good stuff. One would hope.
It may have just been a technical limitation because Kirak can offer things like blighted maps and breach downs and all that sort of stuff that can't be influenced. So maybe they just didn't have the time to make a system that would be able to sort out the can't be influenced from the can. Hopefully that's something that would be implemented eventually. We'll see.
Oh, another really good thing. I'm very glad they did something for Fortune Favors the Brave. How cool's that?
Oh yeah.
Hey, it's really neat.
Pretty cool. Yeah,
that is cool.
And Fortune's looking really good next league anyways. Like there's basically no bad hits except I guess Abyss, because you could have gotten Abyss cheaper. But if you have the Abyss, you're not even sad to hit Abyss.
Yeah.
True.
And you don't even feel bad about picking up the node to begin with, because it's like chance to get higher tier map. Like just for that you can pick it.
Actually, that is one thing. So I've seen some discussion about people. Do you feel like those chance to get like high tier maps will feel mandatory?
Maybe if you're trying to
early on.
Progress. Yeah.
That's like one concern I have, is that overall, because we're not getting that stuff passively and it's not exciting to pick up that stuff, that people are going to end up getting a lot less of them in general, like the higher tier maps / adjacent map bonuses, all that sort of stuff, and that people aren't going to prioritize it because it's not flashy and fun. And I can't blame them, but the net result is that maybe there is like complaints about like you talked about people stealing the maps thing. Hopefully that like all the other stuff we're putting on the maps are dropping maps though in some cases. So like all the shrine monsters are dropping extra maps and stuff like that, and that ends up offsetting it. So you can kind of go either strategy maybe. I don't know. I would expect that you get less maps if you don't specialize those things. Like that's probably the way it should be, right? So I mean, I like the idea of them making them attractive otherwise, like with Shaping the Valleys, where it's got the Fortune Favors as an upside for taking it as well.
You incidentally get so much scaling that's going to affect maps in some way by just going through traveling nodes, though. Like You get a few handful of percentage points for your map drops to be duplicated. You get a few percent points of just generic quantity, which will give you more maps. You get a few percent points for additional adjacent maps to drop. Like,
have you tallied it up though? Like, because I think it's a lot less than before, right?
What
do you end up
I
getting?
have not tallied up
traveling?
everything. No.
Wait, you haven't added up the individual bonus every single node on the tree, Octavian?
Well, just like getting a rough idea of the travel node that you're picking up.
That is actually one of the things that I think is well, I mean, they put it together so quickly, I can't really complain too much. But it's a feature that I would love to have in the tree if they update it. Is like a little thing that just
you can actually see what you've
bonuses
got. Yeah.
on the right-hand side.
right.
Yeah.
I've been
Something
sat
that
with a
says
notepad
cumulative
being
bonuses.
like,
Because I'm bad at math.
saying,
You know?
Chat's saying
it
it
should
caps
be
at
that.
100% now, whereas before you had the chance for the +2s, right? Which you don't have anymore. So it doesn't go over 100% anymore. You'd cap out at 100 if you pick them all.
That's actually a good point.
For the
though.
+1s, specifically.
I think it's a very real possibility that someone is like, oh, that looks exciting, in terms of like the side nodes that aren't really that map efficient, and then they're gonna be stuck on a white atlas because they can't really. No, I'm serious. Like people, and
I don't know about that.
no, but maybe, but it'll go very slow. They'll feel very slow. I'm gonna be like, I don't have any grids. I don't have any currency. What do I do?
I don't know. It's so subjective.
I'm just saying.
If you're just clicking all the things that aren't the map-specific scaling things, then what are you clicking? You're clicking league mechanics, right?
Okay, so my point here is that.
Something.
Okay, my point here is, how hard should it be to, like, respec? Because I'm of the opinion that it should be very easy to just tinker with your tree.
Sure. Yeah, I'm down for that.
I'm not 100% sure on that one, but we talked about this before.
I just have one question. What would be the harm?
In that we would feel the need to change it constantly all the time. So between we'd do 5 maps and then spend 2 minutes clicking over 20 passives and be constantly doing that. That's not good gameplay.
I mean,
we
you're
talked
doing that
earlier
anyway.
about we spent ages earlier talking about the Tarke potential.
But that is not necessarily that's not necessarily how it has to be. So Ventura actually had a really good some good ideas when we were talking about it, because we had an extensive talk. So you could have it so that you get 1 respec for free every map you complete, for instance. Right?
What?
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Why is that a lot?
Okay.
That will require you, if you wanted to respec 20 points all the time, you would need to run 20 maps before respecing anything. Or
one respec point. I thought you meant
I thought you meant the whole tree.
No. Or a respec, full respec as a daily. Let's say you have a product today, I want to do this. Okay, I'm gonna swap over. The next day, I have a new project. What is the harm of having a daily reset for your Atlas?
Again,
let's say you want to reroll a new character, and it just let's say you have a super juiced rogue exile thing, and you're kind of poor, and you make a new character.
Okay, so there's a few massive issues and stuff like that. If you have, the more you can spec out of things, the weaker GGG will make it, because they will balance the power based around the limitations. You can disagree all you want, but that's how balancing will work.
No,
if you could respec everything every single day, then they can't make it as rewarding.
Yes, they can. Why? People do this all the time anyways. The people who are flooded with currency who
something, right?
Yeah, there's a cost associated to it. Have you ever had no Nugi? Have you ever spoken to anyone from GGG about what they think their game should be?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Do you think they would like that system?
Yeah, I think so. I think the net.
Then why didn't they make it then?
Because there's an idea that everyone okay. Every time you favor a map, should that not have a cost? Should we just put in 1 regret cost every time? Every single time you leave a map and you want to go to another one and you're favoring different things, and you don't have when you don't have a mass an excessive pool, you specifically start picking out certain maps you want to respec into, right? So you and you okay, and then back. That happens all the time. Let's say you're progressing your Atlas, and there's like one map you haven't found, and then you want to find the next one. Every time that happens, you have to like redo the whole thing. Shouldn't that have a cost associated with it? I mean, this idea that everything has to have this cost every time. Like, time is also a cost, and the cost is heavily diminished the more wealth you have, the further in you are, and the less you actually get to experience and like explore. And it becomes a thing that is basically strictly something that you need to have, like, you need to create thousands of pieces of currency like daily, which some people do, and they basically get this option whenever they want it. They will buy like X amount of bulk maps, respec the whole thing, have the other guy do it, respec the whole thing if they want so, or if they want to.
I feel like this is going back in time. I feel like this is literally going back to Watchstones, like where you create the same issue of like having to have 4 Watchstones in a region to spawn your Conqueror. So then you have the Conqueror, you spawn it, but you need a specific map from that region that you haven't previously acquired. So then you go inside of the map, and then you take out the Watchstones so that you can drop that map that you want specifically. But then to get the bonus for killing the Conqueror, you have to put the things back in for killing the Conqueror. And then you're just like doing this 3 times per map to be efficient.
It's adding so much potential.
You're saying that you're basically
out.
saying, hey, we should keep that. We should keep the once you're inside the map thing where you have to respec. How about fixing that then?
Right, but that's not the system that we have. Like,
so you're just like, okay, this is what we have, so we should never make it better.
That's what they've literally done with this expansion. They looked at the old system. But I don't disagree. Like, I don't disagree with you from like a fundamental point of view. I understand where you're coming from, but this is where I'm coming from. They had the old system. They're slowly learning, right?
Yes.
It's a slow incremental system. We haven't even had this. We haven't even played this new system once yet, and you're saying that we should be able to respec the entire atlas every single day, and we haven't even used it. And it's very clear that if you had constant access to respecking, it would encourage a play style of doing mass respecking of over 100 points multiple times in between doing every single type of content.
If you have a really good system you like, you keep it. Why would you you don't have to respec all the time. Just because you have 500 regret orbs in your inventory doesn't mean you're constantly respecting your main character either.
If you get a free respec every single day, there's no cost associated. So why wouldn't you optimize? The reason why you don't do that for your current character...
What is the problem with optimizing?
Fuckery.
It's adding micromanagement.
So make the micromanagement not terrible.
By having a... Okay, right. If you have a slight pain point, then it discourages people from doing it. So having that slight pain point, that discouragement...
You don't need to explain this to me. But you're saying that nothing can exist without slight pain points everywhere.
No, but what I'm...
that's what you're saying.
I'm saying that's how GGG makes their video games.
Okay. Maybe
I can have
I can have an argument for that. Maybe it doesn't have to be everywhere.
I have a point to make.
Go on.
Having a cost associated with respecking your Atlas tree, not just being able to do it every day or something like that, means that you have to weigh up the pros between taking suboptimal choice between, say, 2 different league mechanics versus just going all in on one league mechanic and getting every single node associated with it, and then next day using your free respec to take all of the other league mechanic. I think it's far more interesting if you have to take some trade-offs somewhere. But if you have free respecs
every time you do it, there's a trade-off.
You don't have to take any trade-offs. There's no trade-off.
How is there not a trade-off?
You take all of the points.
You don't have all of the points. You have the points that you clicked.
Right, okay, but also one more thing to follow up from Ziggy's point. By keeping a cost, it makes the exploration, makes the learning phase longer. You rapidly shrink all the experimentation down to a much smaller window. You shrink all the theory crafting if people can be respecking constantly on the fly. If you can have with no cost associated or very minimal cost associated, you can be doing these mass respecs. You're limiting all the potential. Everything gets solved.
I just
kind of days.
like we've heard numbers on how costly these respec orbs are. It's 2 regrets to 1 orb at Kirek, and you can buy as many as you want. And they made the orbs themselves 10 times more common, which I still don't think makes them particularly common. You're probably going to get them mostly through regrets. I don't think that that's all that punishing. Maybe I'm underestimating how frequently you can get regrets.
I am not sure either. But the thing is, I think it is okay. So this is the thing. It is curious to me that even proposing it, I get met with like immense, like, oh no, this is impossible because of such and such and such and such. It's like you don't really want to like. I feel like there's not even like a willing to like just kind of let it like just in your mind let it run and see like whether or not like just even question it. It's just like this is an unquestionable fact that we have just established this the correct and the perfect system. I don't know.
I don't. For me, it infringes on like my enjoyment of the game directly, because one of the biggest problems with the old Watchstones and with the old region system was the fact that I don't fucking like sitting in Hayward Hamlet for an entire day, only to then sit in like another region for an entire day to like build up towards it. And I feel like this is what this would end up being. And it's already kind of going to be like that. That's why it needs to be a middle ground and not like Omega respecking or no respecking. Because I think the biggest issue for me personally that I'm going to run into with this Atlas tree is the fact that I'm gonna have to run like 20 of this map with this thing on my Atlas, only to then respec into this like other thing and run 20 of those, and I'm gonna have to do it in bulk, right? If I want to run like Elder passives, then I'm gonna spec into Elder passives, and then I'm gonna spec into all the miscellaneous stuff, and then after I'm done with those, I'm gonna do my Conqueror passives. After I'm done with that, I'm gonna have to do my Guardian passives and respec, and like every time and having like all of that all at once, that's gonna be a big problem for me. So to then take that and like further emphasize on it by making it even more accessible, again, to me, it's the same problem as it was with Watchstones, where to be most optimal, you're gonna have to like remove and re-add them 10 times per map. And I'm just like, it's better, but the fuckery, I can't put up with it.
But I'm not suggesting it. Like, you're
of course, I'm taking
an
extreme,
right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference between doing it once per day to like get a new basically setup for your Atlas and have like a new thing to do. Maybe once per day would be too much, right? It could be like once a week. I'm just saying that giving people an out, I think, is a good idea.
I think
there is an out, but I'll say this, and I think this is a valuable thing. Let's revisit this conversation a week into the league once we've played with the new system. Let's get back to talking about builds. Once we've all messed around with it for a week, we'll be more informed and we can have the conversation, because we would have all played with the system and we'll also know how common these regrets and such is. So
I have one final semi-related thing though, is I definitely think that not having separate Atlas trees per character is going to be a problem. I think it'll only be a week or two before people are like, I'm on my second character, I made a bosser, and now if I just change my tree, I still want to play my other character. I have to respec every time I change characters. Like, I think that's going to be some bullshit.
I mean, that
was the counter argument to that would be, why should I set up a completely new Atlas every time?
What do you mean? Why should I set up a new Atlas every time?
Well, you'd presumably.
Are you saying you just get the
same
things
progression, but a different tree for each character? So you
start with the same amount of numbers you had unlocked already.
Yeah, so if you've unlocked 87 points, you roll a new character.
I can agree with that.
87 points to spend.
That would then run into now we have to run multiple different characters of the same type to be efficient.
Well, you still have the option to respec.
No, you just make 2 identical characters and you have 2 different trees.
I guess you can do that, but that would actually maybe probably encourage you to make different characters that would be good at different types of content. Because if you're only respecing your tree, if you're doing something different, right? So your character A might as well be good at that content, and then your character B might as well be good at that content. So then you've made 2 different builds. Congratulations, you've created rolling alts.
Can I just say quickly?
Very good, Nugi. I like it.
Can I just say quickly? I made this exact argument in the last episode, Niggy, and you were like jumping down my throat for saying that. We've swapped positions.
For saying
builds are cool.
So let's go back to builds.
Something that I can fix this.
Okay, Raiz. But then I want to talk about
Tarke.
builds.
All right. Bountiful Harvest. Harvest monsters in area grant 200% increased experience. Harvest plants in area have 50% chance to spawn an additional monster. Both of you are not going to take that note, correct? It is useless.
I don't like Harvest, so I'm not taking any of the Harvest.
Yeah, I'm not taking it.
There you go. See,
have
we
not
agree.
read
We can move on. Time to build.
I will say I love all of you, and that was highly entertaining. I love it. That's some good Baeclast right there.
To summarize, we will revisit the Atlas thing in more depth in a week's time when we do our next thing. But pick the nodes that you think are fun. You have to pick one of the 5 starting nodes. Pick one. Continue picking after that point. So
I disagree.
Fuck off. Getting back into the belts.
So wrong. I'm with Ziggy on this. Just disagree. No point.
I'll say just one thing I want to end on here, Tarke.
Yeah, go on then.
If we end up on the same point, isn't that a good thing? If we can eventually agree on something, if you had that point last time and I didn't agree, and I've come around.
It is good, but it is a little frustrating.
I mean, but that's. I mean, we can't agree on everything all the time. It takes iterations.
I agree. Normally I don't mind, but the last episode was like 2 days ago. It was so soon.
I don't think we really fleshed that out. You didn't really challenge me on that point when I then said, "Hey, then." I mean, then just you gotta be like, but sell it to me.
I think it makes for a good discussion. It's just that Tarke's like built, so it just.
I'm very aware that Sir Ziggy Daniel would like to play Path of Exile, and the poor Exile doesn't have a build. And if we don't give him a build, on Friday, the league will start, and he'll be sat at his computer crying. And he'd be like, I wish that we could have had a build, but instead, Raiz and Nugiyen just shouted at each other.
You the whole time.
Don't drag me into that.
And then Amy will be sad because she wants to play with Ziggy, but Ziggy's not playing because Ziggy's crying. And now not only is Ziggy sad, we've upset Amy, and I just don't think that's fair.
Well, and Amy's going to be playing a cooked Tarke build that's not going to work.
Exactly.
And I won't have a
Nobody
build,
wins
to be able to play.
Exactly.
And I'll just be replaying this whole argument in my head.
Throwing me under the bus. And then you wonder why I'm playing Lost Ark next week. Unbelievable.
Okay, so you've
Do you
said...
want to play a hit-based spellcaster or a hit-based bow build?
Yeah.
Those are your only
I think I have to go bows. Okay. I feel like, yeah.
All right.
I have to go bows.
What I would probably recommend then, since it seems like Amy's most likely going to be doing my setup, giving you crit, is going for something which isn't going crit scaling. So that could maybe be non-crit impale, because that build still functions without her giving you crit.
There's so much free crit on bows. It feels like wrong to not go crit on them though. Like for something like that.
Why aren't people going crit explosive arrow ballistas then, huh?
Well, explosive arrow and toxic rain and all that shit is a bit different. They scale quite differently.
Wrong.
But for like, disagree. I mean, maybe you could make an impalement argue for impale because you are going to be stretching out to go impale scaling instead, and you can say that was where your crit investment went. So for that, but we were also talking about this Ellie, old school try Ellie.
Yeah, the core
which would definitely be crit, right? Like that would you'd go crit for that for sure.
Yeah. Okay, do you have any like ascendancy that you're leaning towards?
Oh, I feel like I said, I feel like Impale Champion's a bit of a safer choice. And it does have like a little bit of group synergy. I always run into the problem though when I'm playing like a bow champion where like, oh, I have to take Fortify, but it's so boring. Whereas I really want to take Impale, the Adrenaline, do Petrified Blood, and then take the Taunt stuff. But then I'm doing non-fortified bow champion.
Just be Slayer, man.
I was gonna throw the Slayer out there.
Slayer's so much cooler.
20% Cull, get the Super Leech.
Yeah, you can do the Super Leech Petrified Blood action. Although you don't even need Petrified Blood to do the Slayer Super Leech, do you? Actually,
no, you just get it.
You just have it. You're just cool.
I do like the Impale scaling though. Plus, Petrified Blood Adrenaline, permanent Adrenaline's kind of nice.
Alright, fine.
Ooh. Impale Slayer, where the call doesn't work.
Call doesn't
with
work
Call of Steel.
Yeah,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's kind of a nightmare.
Yeah.
Who's going Impale Slayer? I'm definitely not doing Impale Slayer.
If you went Slayer, it wouldn't be Impale. If that would have been like that would have been for the Ellie build.
Yeah.
What would it be? It would still be Impale. Come on.
Wait, you reckon Slayer for like Ellie, like doing some old school try Ellie?
I'd go Slayer, yeah.
Octavian
used to do that stuff all the time, wasn't it? It was like Slayer Scourge was the shit.
That was Scion with Sub-Ascendancy Slayer.
But it was the same shit. Like,
so, yeah, different character model and different starting point in the tree and different ascendancy choices, but same shit.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing.
I was thinking it's got to be right. I was thinking it's got to be Raider, right? For some old school try Ellie stuff, surely. Slayer,
Can be.
I hadn't crossed my
I don't think
mind.
that's a bad choice.
Raider is always good when you're going more than one element.
You should do Doomfletch Petrified Blood shenanigans. You're in softcore. You're allowed to do that.
That's the thing. Every time I'm like, let's play some like classic old school PoE try Ellie, and then it's like do Doomfletch or do Ellie here gem scaling. I'm like, every time.
No,
what's wrong with Doomfletch?
Just make a bow. You can like go rog it up, and then hit multiple T1 rolls, which are insane now. You hit 2 of them. You have like 1,000 plus DPS Ellie bow. Like easy, probably 1,200.
That's exciting. Okay.
Yes, and then you get like your good mark node set up. You get your sniper's mark. You find like a skill you like, and you just pick Ellie nodes and go.
You party.
Okay.
I mean, it's really look at the builds that have been running like Spectral. Look at like Spectral Helix and Lightning Strike builds. Yeah.
Just swap
they
out
basically
the
do this thing, but go bow instead. You can go crit in this as well. Very good pathing, because you get those lethality nodes as well. I mean, I think it'll work. Raider is very comfy because you never have to use...
I like the idea of looking at Spectral Helix and then using that as a baseline for knowledge, because that's the thing I've run into. Like even Impale Champ bows, there's literally no PoE Ninja, no PoE Ninja there from last league.
The one cool thing about Impale Bow though is you get to use the quiver. It's like Worm Steel or Steel Worm or something. Or Storm something. It's every you know when you use Call of Steel you get the little blades. It's like every third blade that you use you gain extra projectiles.
Wait, what?
So like you randomly gain like 4 extra proj or something. Call of Steel quiver. Steel Worm it's called.
Steel Worm.
Grant's Call of Steel. So I've never used Call of Steel. I only kind of vaguely know. So you impale things, right? You shoot them and impale them. And then you use this and it rips the impales out and deals damage to them in an area. Is that right?
Yep.
Yes. Right. Read out the stats for everyone listening at home.
Okay, so Steel Worm, Feathered Arrow Quiver, increased arrow speed. I don't know if that's changing. Evasion rating and armor. Deal no non-physical damage. Wait. Oh, okay, yeah, no, that's
Impale. Yeah.
Okay, yep, Impale, yep. Attacks that fire projectiles consume up to 1 additional steel shard. Skills fire 3 additional projectiles for 4 seconds after you consume a total of 12 steel shards.
It's pretty good.
You use 12 steel shards. Every time you fire, you use 1 additional. So do you have to do 12 attacks and then you get 4 seconds of 3 additional projectiles? Is that right? Or is there some other way of...
I don't know whether ballista attacks would be considered to consume steel shards or not. I am not sure.
Okay, so if you're attacking like 3 times a second... and you need to attack 12, so 4, 8, 12. So you need about 4 seconds, and then you get about 4 seconds of skills firing additional projectiles. I wonder if that's on cooldown or if you can keep chaining that end to end. Does anyone use that? Can you get 100% uptime on that with fast enough attack speed?
You do also have to consider the fact that you need to get your shards back, so you'd have to weave in a Call of Steel between that. But that can get really fast if you have the Jewel or the Master.
Yeah.
Basically instant with both.
I mean, isn't a champion as well with the 60% armor evasion percent? Hello.
I've wanted to play this build for a while, but I've never had the quiver in SSF.
Where does it drop?
I think it's a lab item or something.
Yeah. Oh, only lab.
Labyrinth.
Well, now there's a reason to pick that node.
Hey, there you go.
No.
But you play Tradely, just buy it.
Can you left click store a Call of Steel, or does it stun lock you and feel
It has an
terrible?
animation. You can get the animation really fast, but it does have an animation.
That's not always too bad though. I've used animation left click stuff before. It's not always the worst.
It's like 0.2 or something, isn't it?
Yeah, but then it doesn't only have like a half-second cooldown or something. That's gonna get annoying.
Yeah. You can have it on left click.
I wouldn't recommend it. I just played a build that uses a super fast Call of Steel. I tried it. It feels pretty bad on left click, but you can try it.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you ever?
Well, that's kind of interesting. I hadn't seen that unique before.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever done some like discharge synergy? By the way, Ziggy, with Amy.
Amy, have we done discharge build duo before?
I feel like that's
I remember I
like
did that
the go-to,
like,
but then
I did that with like Xeno like years and years ago. I remember.
Right.
We did something like that. I don't know. I don't know if Amy and I have done something like that yet. No.
Those are pretty cool. I don't have anything to suggest, but it's cool. And both did get juiced up so heavily. I don't know. Are you planning to go for like the accuracy 40% damage node, or
maybe on an impale build? But probably on Ellie, I think it still makes sense to go crit. You just get so much free crit. Like a lot of the bow cluster stuff just has crit on it.
I mean, it's great no just take early.
What's that?
Sorry.
Take it while leveling. Yeah.
What were you saying, Octavian? Sorry, I spoke over you.
I was just saying, if you go the Ellie route and you go crit, you get the freezes and shocks and chills and stuff, since you're doing Ellie damage and scaling anyways. So it's better to go crit in that.
The other thing to consider is if I do go Ellie Raider, there's 0 party synergy for me and Amy because she's doing bleed bows, and Raider doesn't do anything for your allies, whereas Champion does 2 things, I believe. We get Impale gives damage, which doesn't really help a.
Wait,
no, Impale does help. Impale does help. Yeah.
What?
It's added fizz per Impale.
Yeah, that helps.
Oh, I thought it was flat armor.
I
guess it's the champ himself that gets the flat armor.
Yeah.
Okay, and listen. You get knockback, and then you use the reverse knockback, okay? And you pull the mobs in, and then since they're bleeding from Amy's bow, all right, every time they get pulled, they count as moving, so they're bleeding even more. And you zoom it into one big circle, and then they all explode.
Amy's build, because it's my build, already has knockback, because we take the knockback node.
Hey. So
I do like the idea of
he just called you useless. Never mind.
Like a spot in my heart really wants to relive the glory days of old Try Ellie, but I'm leaning a bit more towards the Impale stuff, especially now that you showed me this quiver. Why'd you have to show me that?
And the other thing which is cool about that is if you made like a tankier champion and you're maybe like face tanking running Pride, then that Pride will scale the hell out of her bleed damage. And she's giving you Tailwind because she's a Deadeye.
Yep.
Synergy.
Yeah, it's nice when we can get like 1 or 2 things that we're like giving each other. And yeah, both being fizz also means that if there's any curses or anything like that going on, they actually synergize.
Because she
instead
will
of me being like a raider and lowering the Ellie res.
Yeah.
What if you were to like pick up sovereignty and charisma, and influence, and then run like pride and haste, and then other things that also buff her, and boom.
I would say, yeah, you run Determination Pride, Determination Pride.
Whoa. Didn't you say that determination is shit, Tarke? Wait a minute.
Oh no, hang on. I want to talk about this because people are really stupid. I had Ventura.
Here we go.
Ventura, if you're in chat, Ventura called me out of touch because I said that purity of elements is better than just determination with no investment.
Go back to Lost Ark, Tarke. What the fuck are you talking?
Like, no, but determination with 0 armor is just 3k armor. I would much rather have purity of elements, give me complete ailment immunity and much easier gearing at League Start than 3k armor. Because my original tweet was, I've seen a lot of people say their build is tanky because they run determination. I look at their path of building, and it's literally just determination with nothing else. And people are like, no, armor's really good because if you scale armor, I'm like, yeah, then you're scaling armor. That wasn't my tweet. My tweet was, if you're not scaling it, it's bad. And people are like, no, because you just scale it. And I'm like, yeah, then you can't fucking read. Like, what?
Yeah, but you do get ailment immunity kind of for free now with like Pantheon and all this sort of stuff.
What if
So
you
you're
go...
basically paying 50% mana for like a bunch of resistances. I don't know. Still questionable, I think.
Purity of Elements is better than people say. Again, I didn't say it is better than Termination. I said specifically at League Star, if you're not scaling armor, I think you're probably better off getting a bunch of all-res, lightening all your gear requirements, meaning you can either get more damage or more life on your gear slots, get all the ailment stuff covered early. I didn't say it is better, and I said specifically if you're not... I said specifically in the tweet if you're not scaling it. And I had a bunch of people being like, but you just run like Granite Flask and Armor and Defiance Banner and Armor Nodes. I'm like, yeah, then you're scaling Armor. Like, what?
The lawyer defense.
Well, no, it's the read the tweet that I made defense because you brought it up.
Ziggy's gonna be crying.
Excuse me, what is the title of this podcast? You guys not
Ziggy.
talking about
Look,
my builds
Raiz
right
is
now.
the one who brought this up.
Can we get back to my builds, please? I just have one more question. Am I allowed to play a champion bow build without Fortify?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're in softcore, go for it.
Yeah, I would say softcore is fine.
Chat?
Do it.
What are you saying?
Screw chat.
No?
Do it.
Well, no, because you're taking the no, because you're playing in a duo of two people, and you would take the taunt nodes, which then gives the damage and mitigation. So you're basically instead of having the damage mitigation, she's getting the damage. It's a wash. So
I give
it's just like
kind of Fortify, right?
Bigger question: will you run Determination or Purity of Elements?
Probably Determination, given that champion gets.
And given I told him to run Determination.
Yeah, then you're
you get to dictate his builds now.
Okay. Well, I'm dictating Amy's build, so I may as well dictate Ziggy's build as well. I'm going to do that Atlas passive trees after this as well.
Sick.
Yeah. Don't you do like Patreon build reviews, Tarke?
I've been quite
busy.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. That's every single review. People send me their builds with 50k armor. I'm like, no. Let's delete this rubbish. No, take off Grace, take off Determination, Defiance Banner, put that in the bin. And I go Purity of Elements, Purity of Lightning, Purity of Ice, Purity of Fire. Thank you. Bye. And also, I must definitely say, Raiz, I can't tell that you've been drinking.
Sorry, it's already worn off. I'm good.
So what did we decide on for Ziggy then? What's he league starting?
Okay, so at the moment I'm like 80% decided on Impale, Fizz, Champion. I kind of want to do some Petrified Blood, Inspiration, Adrenaline stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So where you like reserve just above your half and then you drop down constantly. So mess around with that. I love Petrified Blood. I like it. In the past when I played Impale scaling, it always felt really like solid early and then just felt like it had like limitless scaling potential. Normally I would think like, you kind of want crit for that longer term scaling, but maybe now the precise technique with Impale is pretty passive efficient. I haven't planned the passive tree yet, so we'll see, but I might investigate that as an option. It's weird kind of investing in accuracy if you're going to get the taunt stuff anyway, though, where enemies can't evade you, but maybe it's worth it for 40% more damage. So
I think you still have to
not take that note.
Yeah, I don't think you go the taunt. I think you go Banner, you go Impale, you go Adrenaline, and you go 2 points towards taunt, right?
Yep. I think it's perfectly fine not taking that.
You just get the damage reduction points towards taunt.
Don't get the enemies take 20% increased damage and enemies can't evade attacks?
Well,
I mean,
I feel
if you have other increased damage modifiers, which you do, since you're Fizz scaling, so you have like the MAME node, and there's probably someone could be adding shock in there, right? So there's that is a stat that can diminish quite a bit. And then, I mean, if you don't need accuracy, why take it?
You reckon take inspirational then?
Yeah, I think the aura node is
so good.
So strong.
Undervaluing it a bit.
Free banner, lots of regen, which is nice with the Petrified Blood setup as well, and then some aura boosting for a bit more party synergy. So there's a party synergy focused champion here. Interesting. Okay.
So, I mean, people that run SSF take the inspirational for self buffing.
Yeah.
So
Really good.
just
It's
for
very
party.
strong. I will say briefly, since we're now helping people doing builds, I haven't seen if they've changed it. If anyone's doing the Explosive Ballista stuff, I think it's tuners running Ice Trap to proc stuff. Instead of running Ice Trap, run Vol Lightning Trap. And then you can drop the shock off of Elementalist and get the chill. Boom. Nice.
I have not looked at those builds very much, so I don't know the specifics.
Wait,
down that level.
he's running Ice Trap to proc the freeze?
It was to procking something. It was like procking combustion or something. I can't remember exactly, but he had Ice Trap in his build to proc something. And if you're gonna do something, then swap that out for something else. And if you're not gonna use even if you're not gonna use the Vol thing, just use Lightning Trap.
Annoying
instead.
to use though, because
It's better.
it's like a little beam thing, and if it walks out, you're kind of like, boo.
It's kind of annoying. I agree.
Yeah.
What's the duration on it? It used to be really good. I haven't used it in like
8 seconds
years.
or something.
You also need to hit the boss with it, which is probably easier on the.
Maybe because are there any good Vol skills for if you're doing the Impale stuff? Or what I guess Vol Molten Shell.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could maybe you could fit in the Vol Lightning Trap so that both you and Amy get the shock.
Ziggy. Vein of Eris is really good, by the way.
Locks them in place, right?
I was thinking of leveling Rain of Arrows, and then if I do go for that quiver, then swapping to tornado shots instead will benefit from the quiver's extra projectiles a lot.
One thing I recommend early, you may drop it late if you don't like placing them or if you just want to use the links for something else. But since you have double 5 links to potentially double 6 links, Shrapnel Ballista will scale off of everything you're doing extremely well and can be a great single target aid. So getting like a 5-link Shrapnel Ballista in your chest piece or bow or whatever and dropping that down. Like you don't even really need to scale ballista count on the tree because it naturally gets like 3, I think, or up scaling up with your
Well, both Rain of Arrows and Tornado Shot don't necessarily need a separate single target setup, so they benefit from the idea of going a totem then.
The other good thing about the totem is the totem will then taunt, so then you'll also get the damage mitigation from your taunt node.
Yeah. The totem taunt is very nice with champion. Yeah. I've messed with that before. That is good. Okay. All right.
Okay. Sounds like we've picked Ziggy's build. Right. Are we doing Raiz or Nugiyen next?
Am I crazy to go EK Raider?
I know. I think
Raider.
I think EK can have a go.
You can go Trinity with that. Go like Pistol Lightning and the Cold Conversion node. And you're good.
Yeah.
I'm shocked you're not going for the Divine Ire, Nugi. It's like 60% more damage now. You were really popping with the Raider before.
Yeah.
Divine Ire looks legit.
I was thinking about it, but I'm like, I'm not. Okay, let me explain. I'll tell you why. This is the reason. Sniper's Mark with the new Mark stuff. It's just. How do I say no to that?
Are you using?
It's just like, how do I say no to that?
Raider, are you just like shield charging to proc it or something? Because you only mark things on attack.
I use my. So I take the mouse, I hovered over the thing, and I click the button.
Look, I'm used to PoE players refusing to press more than one button.
It's permanent, dude. It's like one time. Rather than spending 800 mana for a proc cast, I'm good.
Yeah, but why don't you just play a good build, which does enough damage to kill any boss in 8 seconds, and that way you don't have to worry about it being permanent or not. Easy. It's a way better solution. And you can still do all the stuff with...
okay, you're killing Shaper in 8 seconds?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, bro.
Hang on, I can make this a more toxic argument.
Mr.
So, hang on, Nugi.
Fire Trap.
Nugi, you like permanent marks, but you don't like permanent Atlas skill trees. Explain.
Oh, no. There was a way to make it more toxic.
I don't mind clicking. You do.
My shoulder hurts even thinking about it. My shoulder's been hurting, guys. I don't know. What's the build for that?
Click the mark.
It's really weird. It's been weird.
What have you been lifting? What have you been doing to it?
Nothing. It just started hurting before the snowboarding trip, and now it still hurts. It's weird. Like this part, but like only, well, it's kind of like below the shoulder, but only in like specific positions.
I think that's called just aging and deteriorating.
There's only doctors in chat.
Anybody can give a diagnosis.
There's nobody but doctors.
Lost Arc Shoulder.
I like how everybody's suggesting RF. Thanks, guys.
Ooh.
I did play RF a bunch this league, so maybe that's what messed up my shoulder.
Oh, hang on. We forgot an important part of Ziggy's build. Ziggy, what Atlas Keystone jewels are you going for?
Atlas Keystone?
Sorry,
jewels?
Ascendancy jewels. What Ascendancy jewels are you going for in your...
Oh, the Ascendancy jewels. That's a good question. You gotta have some aspirational content. I mean, I feel like there's 0.001% chance that I get something, but you gotta have good aspirational content. I'd probably get Fortitude and get Fortify. There you go.
That'd be pretty good. Yeah.
Sounds good. Free, because
Why pick a node outside of Champion? Champion provides everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just take all the Champion nodes if I could, literally.
Some bleed explosions. Arena Challenger. Ooh.
Champion is like the reverse Juggernaut. Everything's useful versus nothing being useful. Buggers. Why didn't they do anything
endurance
to
charges, man? You got a fucking problem with endurance charges over there?
I see. No. Accuracy is good, right?
I mean, it did get buffed.
Accuracy is good
with the accuracy node on the tree. There's more
Juggernaut
Juggernaut options now.
I was thinking about that.
Pigeonholed in a crit.
Thinking about what? How Juggernaut sucks?
No. It's the accuracy node plus the new 40%. It basically solves everything immediately. You're just
I crafted a
nice
steel
damage.
Juggernaut that looked all right, but it was just kind of a bit worse than Berserker without really seeming that much tankier. But it looked playable for sure.
Okay, so Octavian.
Yes, dear.
What build are you playing? Everything has to be decided now. There is no takesy backsies.
Crap. No, I'm probably gonna go the Rage Vortex Blade Storm Berserker. I've practiced it a couple times. I'll play it.
I love the way the AoE looks, but I keep hearing how it's ZDPS initially.
Wait, what
the
is?
numbers look good on paper. I haven't really played it through to endgame though, so maybe I'll get surprised when I reach T16s and the damage is trash.
Isn't just like Rage Vortex widely accepted to do insane damage?
I don't know. I've always Rage Vortex, Blade Vortex stuff that I've seen. It's always like people saying like Karn, I have 5 million DPS with Onigaroshi, and then you're watching his boss fight, and it's like, this doesn't look like 5 million DPS.
I'm just looking at like a 5-link with a 340 DPS axe or so, and it's got like 1 to 1.5 million DPS, which is fine for a starter for me.
That's sick. That's really good.
But that is assuming like 3 storms from the Blade Storm and the Rage Vortex, but with good attack speed from Berserker in that area of the tree.
And a 6-link.
No, that's a 5-link.
Oh, you did say 5-link.
Yeah, it's a 5-link.
Gems 20?
Yes, level 20 gems.
Quality too, huh?
Yes.
Well, we're getting down to it. Do you have shock ticked?
No.
Well, if you ran Volt Lightning Trap,
it's
you could...
It's take shock on your POB. It's going to make it way better. Way better
It
build.
would make the damage bigger. You're not wrong.
Frenzy charges? Oh.
There's a really good strat if you want to boost your damage. When it says like damage against Cirrus, if you click that to no.
Oh, that's really good, yeah.
Damage go up.
That doesn't even change my damage because you get a ton of Fizmit shred for free.
That's true. Yeah.
So it literally doesn't matter.
I have to say that is one of the funnest things about reviewing someone's build. And they send it to you and you look at the numbers, you're like, oh, I mean, it's a little bit low, but yeah, I think this could sort of work. And you start messing around and you're like, okay, let's just check their configs. And you see it's not set to Cirrus. You're like, oh shit. Then you put Cirrus, it's like, ooh, 80k damage.
That's
why I like Slayer, man. You click that button, number gets bigger on Slayer.
True. That's good.
Okay, so Raiz, you thinking maybe Fire Trap? Like, after all this, are you leaning any which way in any singular direction?
No, you guys didn't help me for shit. I'll be honest. This has been completely worthless. For me. I know.
You're welcome.
Okay, what are you sort of considering? Let's see if we can help coach you through this.
I mean, I'm pretty unreasonable, so I'm really heavily considering the absolution. Yeah. So like whatever you tell me, I'm probably just gonna do the opposite.
Play absolution.
I do think absolution. I've been recommending absolution to people. I think it's a good build.
So many good builds. That's the one thing that I was leaning towards. It's a good YOLO. I think it's good. It's a good thing to YOLO.
How important are minion clusters to that build?
Not really at all.
Good. Then go for it. I just don't want to see you farming for clusters. I've seen you in that pain before. I don't want to see you there again, Raiz. I care about you.
I'm so mad about that they didn't make the minion summon recently cannot die or cannot be damaged. I'm so surprised that they haven't made that into a mastery. I feel like that fixes issues for like literally all of the summoners, since nobody plays specters, but it's not a thing. So you still have to get clusters, but then clusters are good, but only really on minions. I don't know. People don't really use clusters anymore outside of defenses. I feel like most builds that use damaging clusters, I find, are not good builds.
Wow.
Defensive clusters, though.
I think you should tweet that. I feel like that's the kind of tweet that gets some interesting replies.
Yes. With the exception of summoners. Summoners, they're still doing stuff.
I mean, I feel like play Poison Concoction without having a Chaos cluster. Gonna have a fun time.
See, that was my issue.
Kinda need the one.
Chat seems to agree with you entirely, Raiz.
This is giving me more and more confidence. I must tweet now.
I definitely would never misrepresent Twitch chat.
No.
I think if they made passive trees free to respec, maybe like a free respec every so often, you could spec all the defensive clusters when the enemies go to attack you, and then unspec them and spec all the damage clusters when you go to attack them back.
They should add. I think they should add real-time pause to Path of Exile. Because then you could attack, pause, respec into the defensive tree, unpause when they attack you, and then repause, spec back into your damage nodes.
We basically used to do stuff like that back in the day.
It's not wrong. That would literally happen between bosses.
It's all right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how things pan out. It's all right.
We appreciate you, Nugi, okay? It's great that we're able to have a civil discussion here, okay?
Civil fucking discussion.
Even Ziggy's toxic. I mean, that's a
at least you had a good point, Raiz, with the whole going into the map respec.
Wow.
It's more that can be said about some of the other people here on this podcast.
Damn. I popped up. Heck yeah. I should.
That one I was like, oh, okay, Raiz, he has a point. That we can't have again.
To be fair to Raiz, he had an extra 30 minutes to prepare that point.
That is true.
Okay.
But maybe he wasn't just a reaction, Andy.
Yeah, maybe next time your mom won't have a birthday, you jerk.
I honestly, I really don't care that you were late because it was your mum's birthday. That's fine.
I was gonna hardcore lie about that. I was gonna.
If you'd lied, it would have been worse. Like, what would you have even said?
My cat is on fire and exploded because a meteor hit it. Like it.
Classic.
It would have been bad. I would have lived with the guilt, but now I have to live with the guilt of kicking my mom out and being like, I gotta go. There's internet to be done.
Now, if your mum DMs me on Twitter later tonight, being like, it's not my birthday, then there's gonna be bullshit.
Why didn't you just say you could?
She would do that. I'm gonna tweet longer about her. Okay.
No.
Or even worse, it was my birthday and my ungrateful son wasn't even there. He was busy playing Lost Ark because he hates me and he hates Path of Exile.
Not even wrong. Yeah. It took all of my willpower when you asked me what build I'm going to be playing, and I'm just like, Blue Warlord, okay, I'm going to get Old Engravings.
Oh, have you picked your class then?
Oh, yeah.
Are you playing Blue Warlord?
Oh, yeah. I heard you said that my Blue Warlord sucks, Nugi.
What?
And it was like the second time I played it, and you said it sucks.
What? No, I love it when you play Warlord. It's great.
I heard you said otherwise. I heard you said everybody's Blue Warlord is great except Raiz's.
I play the Green Goblin class.
This guy just makes up things.
Twitch chat told me, Nugi. I have no doubt.
I'm amazed how triggered Twitch chat got from like 30 seconds of that, right? That's all it took.
True.
Hang on. We can make it better. Octavian, when you were ignoring me on Discord yesterday, what champion were you playing in a league?
I think I was playing Zerath support like a degenerate.
Absolutely.
Why would you play support? Is that actually a good support?
I mean, we won, so yeah.
World of Warcraft.
In spite of
the Burning Crusade.
Oh, it is? Apparently, I don't know anything.
Okay.
Oh,
so, cool. Nugi, after all of this, what builds were you leaning?
So I've been like tinkering in the background. Someone was like earlier, it's like, oh, Nugi, it's just playing Lost Ark in the background while I'm trying to make an EK Raider. Okay, shut up.
Sick.
It doesn't look good. So I don't think I'm playing EK Raider.
Good talk.
That was me after 4 hours of making Fire Trap.
Yeah, at least you got there quicker, Nugi.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm going offline. This is no bueno.
It's gonna be hard to scale items, but still, the Spark looked better. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. Spark is
I want to ask about Spark. Yeah. Do you think Spark's maybe got a little bit of secret?
It's got that little spark.
A little.
I mean, it's just because I think I really like the idea of the bow instruments of virtue. That's like kind of living in my head right now. I feel like that's like a good way of scaling damage pretty easily. Because like, you get all the essence stuff, right? Good access to that, easy. You just keep spamming essences on the bow, and you just eventually you'll just hit like a double high flat roll, and you have like an insane amount of damage coming out of instruments of virtue. I just think that's pretty cool.
They made the crit multi on bows specific to bow attacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really looked about on that at all. I'm just like prot speed. You can get some, I guess, spell damage on there.
Yeah, everything's specific to.
You can craft big boy.
Well, no, prot speed isn't right.
Cool. Except prot speed, true.
Yeah, you can still get like a fat chunk of like life, resist,
and the thing is, if you get like a sick fizz bow for some reason, you can go EK.
Wait, and you doing this for the boss race event, right?
Yeah, why not?
EK Raider, the secret bossing strat.
No, this is with Inquisitor.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, what? How do you live though? Like even if you can do damage.
Termination and regen. Hello. What's
so like the same thing that everybody else
determination.
is doing?
I'd be scared.
Why would I not do what's what?
Are you gonna go Grace and try and scale some evasion as well? Like I'm just
I'm
worried you don't have an avoidance layer.
Why would I need evasion, dude? Just
I don't know, because like if you're doing
we're not playing Gauntlet here. It's just PoE, dude.
Oh, it's just Path of Exile now. Okay.
Sure. Why not? Just itemize suppression.
It takes so long to itemize suppression. I don't know.
I mean, then don't itemize suppression and just don't get hit. Okay? It's like just go, and if we die, we die. Okay? I mean, I don't need to stand in the shaper balls. I don't need to stand in all those things. You know, maybe just get a lot of life like you used to, get some damage, and go.
All the way until like Act 3, where you get one shot.
Okay, you get.
I can't wait for the clip. God, please.
Can I ask?
I'll pay Nugi. Please die in Act 3.
Nugi and Raiz, have you been playing Dota recently or something?
No.
Oh, okay.
Why?
What?
Maybe it'd be more. It would be more hostile if you've been playing Dota. Never mind.
No.
What do you mean hostile?
I don't think we're hostile.
Yeah. I don't think we're hostile either.
Why do you?
This is what they call banter.
This is called friendship, Tarke.
I see. I wouldn't know. I don't have any of those.
Yeah. I would know that you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
This is really derailed very quickly, but the title is Chill Vibes Only, which I guess
I mean, I'm just thinking about my bow build here. It's fine. I don't know what you guys think about it. Like,
I like these shorter 1 hour long Baeclast shows. They're fun.
Yeah, this was a very good short 1 hour Baeclast.
I mean, feel free to come up with some other build ideas. You know, it's like I come up with. I Nugiyen, sure about that.
I thought the Spark idea was. I wasn't against the Spark idea. I thought it was neat.
I'm surprised that you're more willing to go Spark than EK.
I would rather go Spark than EK because of
but
the
what
Orb
about
of
the single
Storms.
target? Isn't Spark single target rather rough?
I'm hoping the Orb of Storms is OP, and because he's using a bow, he's got 2 6-links. So he's 6 links, or he's got 2 5-links because SSF. But like
the lightning with spell, like the what's it called? The lucky lightning stuff is really cool. You get sniper smart, which is really good. You get like it's buffed. I don't know.
Why didn't you say Stormcall before, Octavian? When we asked you what you want to play.
Stormcall?
I did say Stormcall.
You said some lightning thing.
Yeah, and I've theory
did say Stormcall actually.
It's right here.
Oh,
well, you can't see it, but it's on my screen.
I'm happy I can't see it. I'll be honest. Stormcall is a big ass flashbang. It's dangerous.
Oh, I thought you were about to say Stormcall is just trash.
I was going for it. Man. See, I was gonna go for it, but we have been quite hostile, so I'm like, okay, no, it's about how it flashes me in the eyeballs.
I'm more surprised that you named a lightning skill that wasn't Stormbind, Octavian.
Fuck that, they nerfed it.
Oh, wait, what? How did they nerf it?
I told you guys this last time. You just
I
don't
remember
listen.
now. No, I remember. You didn't say it.
The gloves that used to give mana cost now give mana taken away or something. It's not mana cost. It still takes your mana away, but it's not technically mana cost, so you can't charge Stormbind with it. So
mana
they nerfed Stormbind.
Yeah, but they're nerfing Seismic Trap as well, and people are still going to play it, so what's the problem?
The problem is Stormbind. Are you listening?
That is a problem.
Seismic Trap is good, guys.
That's a big problem.
I'm beginning to understand the issue.
No, if you want to play Stormbind, sorry.
Don't.
That was the full sentence.
But
that was the full sentence.
Go Ignite. Yeah. Go Ignite if you do.
Really?
Yes, because you don't need to charge the runes nearly as thoroughly with Ignite, and they buffed its scaling this league, like Scourge League, they buffed its scaling pretty significantly. So it will probably be playable, and that is about the best I can give it.
All right, never mind.
Playable.
I'm surprised no one's on the Winter Orb, because Winter Orb already worked. It was expensive, but now it does more damage, and they increased the frequency, which is big.
Remember back when Winter Orb was
big though?
Remember back when Winter Orb was the only skill in the game, Tarke?
I mean, no.
When every build was Winter Orb and even Juggernauts were playing it, I didn't enjoy it then, so I don't think I'm gonna like it now.
Do you guys want to know the secret?
Two?
Winter Orb totems are better than EA totems. I said it.
Shit.
Winter Orb totems is a good build.
Oh, so that's your league starter?
Nope. I mean, you need a Rain of Splinters, and you have to go crit, which reduces the amount of defense that you have. But then again, you have to travel a lot with explosive
arrow as well. But it's better though.
It is better.
So you can just make a little trade-off and then get some more defense, right?
And it freezes stuff.
It does.
I'm trying to help you out here, Raiz.
It shoots the
cold.
The cold, yes. I was gonna say something else, but I'm okay. I'm good right here.
I love the idea of waiting for your totem to summon, then waiting for your totem to activate, then waiting for it to charge up its ice hat, and then waiting for the projectile to fly across the screen. And
no. It's not that bad at all. It's really not that bad.
And to be fair, Winter Orb totems got buffed more than self-cast because the totems are always channeling. So they always have
exactly. That's the point.
Can we talk a little bit, though, while we're on the topic, or adjacent to the topic of explosive arrow ballistas, of just how rapidly metas form and stagnate now in the game? People haven't even fucking played EA ballistas for the most part, because it was a tiny niche of the meta last league, and people are already, sick of it. You know, people are talking about like, oh, EA Ballista's garbage. Everybody's playing the meta. It's like 2% of people played it last league. Nobody's played it yet next league, obviously.
I played like 3
people
different
play
ones.
things first.
It's
A little bit.
I mean, I'll be honest, people even hated it when I played like 3 different EA Ballistas last league or in Scourge, and people were already like, bleh. I don't know. People don't like it. They don't like looking at it.
I mean, it's like people still complain about Essence Drain, even though Essence Drain hasn't been like that great for a really long time. And if you actually look at the people leveling like Chaos Dots and always like Bane or like Death's Aura and stuff,
I think EA is still great. Or Essence Drain is still great.
It's still fine. Like it's still good.
I think it's great. It's just that people are so bored of it.
I know. I agree with that. I think people definitely have like a very skewed perspective of what. I mean, we talked about this earlier with the whole like lightning strike thing. You know, it's like people just like, oh, it's fucking dog shit, and then one person does it, then everyone copies it, and then it's like, oh, this is the best spell.
I've always loved lightning strike. It's one of the coolest skills.
Agreed.
Since even I remember, okay, when everybody was playing KB and Red Eye showed me his lightning strike guy.
I remember that.
And he was like, yo, lightning strikes is as fast as KB. And people were like, no, it's not. Oh, you suck. And then he showed a video and I was like, okay, wait a minute. Hold up. And it's just been buffed since. I don't know. It's super nice. And that was like a long time ago. 5 years? 4? Jesus. Searing Bond totems.
Yeah.
Are you going to use that with your fire trap? Yeah.
I'm down Uber Elite.
I might actually do that. I don't know.
It's a lot of things you might actually do.
It is.
Can we get some commitment here, Raiz? Just say you're going to do it.
I'm worried. Have you... Because, like, the survivability of the totems is still up in the air. I feel like you can get some really ridiculous defensive numbers for Searing Bond totems, but then it needs plus levels because it scales with plus fire for the actual HP of the totem. So I worry that it's just going to be too little early.
Okay. I've got the best build for this league. So it's Archnemesis League, right? So we're building these really scary monsters. You put all the scariest mods in, and you conversion trap it, and it clears the whole map for you. And you spec your Atlas for Einhar, so you get Einhar does 100% more, 1,000,000% more damage, and you just conversion trap Archnemesis and Einhar, and it clears the whole map. Boom.
Don't need to build. Perfect.
That's it.
And think of all those extra like gems that you've saved. You can just be like leveling like 1,000 in powers using the new amulet, which gives all the gems increased XP.
Oh, good idea.
That's a freebie Raiz.
I love how people in the chat were like looking to learn something, and this is as good as it gets.
No, we gave Ziggy a solid. We told him that a quiver existed that he didn't know existed. We've established that absolution is a good skill. We've had words about respec points. What more is there? Like, what else could you hope to learn?
Probably something useful.
I feel like that's asking
anything.
How confident are you feeling in your link start now, Ziggy?
0
to 100.
I think you'll have fun with it.
I'm a player thing, and it may or may not work out.
That's not a numerical rating. I don't know how to feel unless there's a number involved.
7.
Make it to your list.
Yeah.
I'll make a tier list for you later.
Okay, how about this then? Nugi, if you were playing in Softcore Trade League and you had like an established like 10 exalts, what build would you be going for, do you think?
I don't know.
I was expecting EK Raider.
I'm not sure if I think EK is there yet. I feel like EK needs more. And it's like it needs a mechanic. It needs like a mechanic. Like BFBB could actually.
It's
be
got a
really good.
mechanic.
Just saying.
it
could be
It's
quite
got
good.
Blade Blast. That's a mechanic.
Ethereal Knives, Arctic Armor, might have matter, Scion. I reckon.
Would you go Blade Blast on top of EK?
On top of EK? Yeah, sure you can. It's got blades. They are knives.
True. I mean, if you had the... How good is that? Let's see. 20% chance to leave 2 with max?
Wait, what?
2!
No, skills that leave lingering blades have 20% chance to leave 2 lingering blades instead of 1.
Oh, right.
That one.
But doesn't EK, like, drop 1 on the ground or something? It's like really
It doesn't
bad.
drop that many, but I mean, just less clicking.
2.
1 for every 3 projectiles fired. So it leaves 4? Because I think it's 12 projectiles now that it's got.
But like, sometimes 5?
I suppose.
That's crazy.
Okay, so you drop like a Blade Blast totem, so you can just be throwing out more EKs.
Totem in there? Yeah. Are there any other spells that like stand out that you guys have thought of?
Flame Blast, Incinerate.
Really? Incinerate?
I mean, Incinerate.
Do you actually believe in Incinerate?
I think so.
Incinerate's just annoying to play with like the way the wave. I would much rather play like Flame Blast.
It's like
Divine
so
Eye
slow.
or
It's like
something.
you fire
They
it
spit
out,
up the wave,
and then you run past it, and you're like, "Wait, are you? Come on!"
No. They spit it up. It's pretty quick now, Nugi. They just didn't mention it in the patch notes. They did it like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
they just didn't talk about it. It's really weird.
I mean, Fireball's good. Like,
I'm kind of interested in hit-based creeping frost because if you use volley, you can get the explosions from the hits to overlap with each other, and it was already capable of doing enough damage in like mine setups and stuff. I don't really think it'd be very good for self-cast, but it could be solid with like blast chain or high impact mines.
Yeah, I used to run it in cast and crit. It's actually good. Shotgun. Yeah.
Or Coast Breeze, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Frostbolt Ice Nova looks really freaking good. It was already really strong. Now it's like really, really strong.
Self-cast Freeze Pulse, is it going to come back?
No.
It's really annoying to play. It's actually one of
the aiming
worst.
thing is
it's
so
my!
tedious.
If you ever get hit like on a door, it's just death.
Yeah.
And they fucked with the threshold jewels too.
Actually, since we're talking about stuff that went under the radar, Tarke, Ice Storm, I think is quite a bit better going into next league. The effectiveness got buffed significantly. It went from 60% to 100%, as well as I think the base damage went up. Let me find it. 5 to 7 base cold per 10 intelligence, previously 3 to 5. Yeah. I don't think it's a great starter because it does need a lot of like synergistic tools on gear to really shine. But I think Whispering Ice will be like an excellent build if you want a long-term league project to just keep tweaking and improving.
Is Firestorm a skill yet?
Me?
I don't really like it, but some people were having some success with it, especially for leveling. When it comes to Ice Storm, I've seen some like really ridiculous 20 million DPS Ice Storm Arcanist brand builds, but Arcanist brand got hit now, so I don't know. And it is huge investment.
Oh yeah, no, it's not something I would recommend as a starter. But if you're the kind of person who likes to play 1, maybe 2 builds a league, and you want something for your second build that could be a long-term project to invest in, I think Whispering Ice is a pretty good choice for that. Because I saw some builds in Scourge that were fucking demolishing things with like high-end Whispering Ice investment, like doing 100% Delirious T18s with ease and that sort of thing. And an added effectiveness of damage buff on a skill that's all about stacking tons and tons of flat added just seems really, really good to me.
Okay, I think this will be interesting. Round table. We can't repeat something that the other person's already said. If you had to play one spell build, what would it be? And what spell build would you never play?
Say again?
So you have to play one spell build. Like, you have to. Okay. You're league starting it. What would you pick? And what's one you would never do? You can start, Octavian.
Stormcall is the one I would play because that's the one I've theory crafted and it looks decent on paper. I'm not actually going to start it, but it looks startable. And I would never play Incinerate because it's very unfun to use, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I would try and make it for me it'd be between Crackling Lens or Winter Orb. And I would never Lightning Tendrils.
Oh, Lightning! Jesus, the AOE on it is still so.
It's still
disappointing.
I don't know why they're afraid of it. They've buffed it like 3 or 4 times now, and they keep giving it like tiny little buffs. Like they're afraid if they buff it too much, it's going to dominate.
Well, the thing is Stormburst is a good skill, and Stormburst is just better Lightning Tendrils. So like they could make Lightning Tendrils like cracked, and Stormburst would just be better. Like, sorry, I stole one of the other good skills. Sorry, go on, Raiz.
I mean,
is that even a good skill?
Stormburst.
I mean,
is good.
It's one of the most stationary builds in the game. It's
I agree.
It has good damage scaling, yes, so on paper, but it just suffers from like not really being rewarded from the, you know, for the play style that it inhabits. It's really hard. Like you have to have so much of like everything to feel as if you're being rewarded playing it. That's really good scaling though. But that's about it.
I'm going for an easy one. Self-cast Arc is the best.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Oh, I love Self-cast Arc. Well, too late, Ziggy. You should have stepped in. And the thing that I wouldn't play, Blade Vortex, because it's the opposite of Self-cast Arc. And I've played way too much of that shit for way too long. I'm sick of Blade Vortex.
Okay, I'm going next. I'll play Blade Vortex. I'm playing it. It's my favorite skill in the game. It's not very strong right now, but I still
remember you crying, Nugi, when Parandus came out and Blade Vortex came out, and you died to lag because the performance issues were giant with it, and you were like, "Wah."
Because the skill was so fun,
they fixed the performance issues. Then they fixed the performance issues, and then you made the character again, and then you killed yourself to reflect. I remember that too.
No, I died to DC.
Oh, okay. No.
Well, I think we just picked Nugi's League start.
Reflect was Bladefall playing with Havoc.
It was with yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So
okay, I'm an old man. I'm sorry.
I did kill myself to reflect. He did say, "There's reflection on the map," and then I didn't hear it. I went in and I died. It sucked. Then I made double void battery, 50 stacks of blade charges with Vinktars, and it demolished everything, and I could do the mirror and Ubrad series, and I would never die. I could do any amount of, like with 50 blades, I could do like chevrons with the lightning thorns. I didn't die because Vinktars was insane. Because I had MOM plus normal leech, instant, 20% of each.
And now it's got Vol Blade Vortex, which is like a fucking big ass SRS, which is fun.
It's true.
Ziggy, I'm sorry, there is nothing funnier than your cam turning on and off and the absolute shock and horror as your brain turned back on. You're like,
I saw that.
I randomly died.
what would you go for, Ziggy?
Yeah, well, I was gonna go self-cast Arc. Either Ignite or just straight up. I think Arc's always very fun and comfy and
no, I said that. You can't repeat.
No, I'm repeating.
Tarke is breaking the rules.
I'm waiting at the after Ziggy can say how much he likes Arc. He starts to pick another skill. He can talk about how much he likes Arc.
Well, I'll say I wouldn't play Stormbind. That's on my won't play skill.
I get it. I get it. It's okay. I get it.
Everybody gets
so I have to pick another skill then? Shit. Divine Eye. Divine Eye is always good. I don't know if I got buffed or anything, but Divine Eye is always good.
I was still in the pool. That's cheating.
I
almost said that I don't want to play self-cast Unearth because that got buffed too.
Isn't there like a meme on self-cast thing, which is actually quite good? Or at least the numbers look good.
There was something about that.
The problem with Unearth self-cast is you cannot cast it up ledges or upstairs. So if you are ever standing down a set of stairs and the enemy is up the stairs, you cannot damage them. You have to run into them to damage them because it's ground targeted and will just hit the stairs.
Well, as long as there aren't any stairs and the new bosses, you're alright.
Doesn't look like it.
They have the high ground it's intended.